Starting stream. All right, Sim Captains. I think we made it this time. This is our this is take 2 today. We live streamed to ourselves a few moments ago. It was a good time.
Yeah, about almost 10 minutes, wasn't it? Felt like it was 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a few moments here. But welcome to Homer, Alaska. We're actually in reality. By the way, should we introduce ourselves again?
Oh, yeah.
I'm Flight Brother number 2, as I think of myself. I'm Tim.
I'm Lee. I guess that would make me Flight Brother number 3.
Number 3. I blame him as being Flight Brother number 1 because this channel was his idea. Although I think our name might have been my idea. We had a bunch of
It was definitely,
names.
yeah, the name was your idea.
I was like, it's like the Wright brothers, get it? Flight Brothers. But unfortunately on YouTube, that's also a basketball thing as I understand it. So,
yeah. Basketball, dunking channel type thing.
So if you search for us, you can see slam dunk competitions or airplanes.
Or airplanes. Fake airplanes.
Fake airplanes.
Oh, some real ones. We had Collings Foundation.
That's right, yeah. But nobody watches that one. No one wants a real plane.
Yeah, no one watches real planes.
So if you found us here in the sim world, go ahead and go check out the real planes, because that's one of my favorite videos. All right, so you're looking at the Cessna 172 with the Rep Reality Expansion Pack. That's a Simcoders product. We were discussing in our previous aborted stream that it's about, what, 20 bucks?
Yeah, 20 bucks even, I believe.
$20. And you're going to take your stock Cessna and basically make it pretty much payware grade by adding that little $20 add-on. And we're going to use it a lot today, so you're going to get to see all of its features, all these little menus hiding out here on the side. Plus, this, you might have noticed these absurdly large tires, and the cinder blocks were tied down to, don't quite look like all the other Skyhawks out here, and that's because this is the Prop Strike Studio. Free, yes, I said free. A lot of people ask us about free stuff in our comment threads.
It's true, go get it.
This one's free, kids.
And there's a fishery scenery, I think, that comes with it, right? Or is
Yeah.
it a separate download?
I think it's a separate... What? Good question.
I don't remember now, but I
Yeah,
don't know
look
that
at
it
my
was really
downloads folder.
Like, the scenery seemed like it just plopped you in a field with some cut-down trees. Like,
Okay.
there wasn't a runway, per se.
Well, it's a bush... I mean, it's a bush plane. It's not supposed to have a runway. You're supposed to land on, like, rivers and stuff. So...
Well, then wouldn't you use floats?
No, just a Cub with big, oversized, floaty tires.
There you go, okay. Be like in the 80s when monster truck, I don't know, maybe they're still popular. You know, monster trucks were popular and they'd drive them out in the water.
Oh,
they would actually float.
so much.
Be like Bigfoot out there.
It's ridiculous. So the Bush kit gives us these tires, as well as some changes inside. So you'll notice here in our panel, just a little different than the stock one looked. Although you still get some fun things like a fishing reel, and move past the headrest. You can see we've got cement, all the good stuff you might haul off to your wilderness cabin. A box of who knows what that is. Priceless paintings.
Bodies. Could be bodies.
Small bodies, very small bodies. We got a diesel generator.
Cargo net. Did you already talk about the cargo net?
Yeah.
That is pretty, you need that.
Yeah, no, for real, because there's nothing less fun than getting a bag of cement in your head in turbulence. And the added CG issues of such an incident. More importantly, though, you got an angle of attack indicator here, which if you're really flying this thing to the limits of its performance, could be very useful in helping you assess your ability to take off and land in rough and questionable environments.
And remember, wings stall at a given angle of attack, not an airspeed. So you can have a high or low airspeed, it doesn't matter. It's where the airflow starts delaminating from the wing. So angle of attack is the most critical element of flight.
There we go. So that's why we have Lee here for technical knowledge. He's definitely the more informed of the two of us. And,
open to interpretation.
So yeah, if you watch our videos, I actually talk for a living and present things for a living. So I'm pretty comfortable with BSing, but that doesn't mean I know what I'm always talking about. So if you listen to Lee's videos, he's actually got some pretty good knowledge most of the time. So plan for today, we're gonna jump you back outside here for a moment. This is Homer, Alaska. It's the southern tip of the Kenai Peninsula, basically. And I think we're going to take you over to Sky Vector and show you where we're going. Sorry, I'm a little klutzy with OBS, but this is the best way I found to show you this. So here we are. This is Homer, which if you watched my very exciting, sarcasm there, VFR chart reading tutorial, I actually spent time in this area, and I believe Homer or Kenai was I think Kenai's the next airport up here, right?
Yeah, it was around here.
Kenai's up here in Sedona.
Yeah, right.
I think I featured some of those in it.
I should probably go ahead and mute my phone. Sorry about that.
Right. Well, actually, it's kind of funny. I'm expecting a phone call today because
Perfect.
here at Flight Brothers Central, I have some electrical issues in this house, and I'm waiting for my electrician to call me. So if we get cut off midstream, it could be because we just lost power, but hopefully that won't happen. So here we go. This is Homer, and you can see there's a seaport off to the side. Weather camera is available. We could pull that up. We are running live real weather today, which we actually got blessed because I was doing some trial runs this week, and the weather was not cooperating, and I was just going in and tweaking it with custom. But you can see we're going to fly up the coast here. It's basically a small inlet. Was this Keshemak Bay? Pardon me if you know your Alaskan pronunciations, and if I'm murdering it, then go ahead and pop up in our chat stream here and correct me. Once we make landfall here, we're going to have this mountain range, just a beautiful range off to our right, which, as per the map, is the Kenai Mountains. You'll notice all the white on top because they are glaciers, meaning we've got year-round ice formations up there. We'll follow this track where we're planning to go VFR here, although we do have some VORs in the area, so we could use instruments up until we turn into the mountains. We'll cross, here's another name to work on, Tustamenna Lake. That's a pretty large lake. That'll be a very good reference point for us. Once we cross that, we're going to continue onwards to this slightly smaller but still rather large lake, Skilak. And at that point, we're going to see our opening here, and we'll turn down in. We might do a little dog leg down here to this glacier. And,
Did we even mention the actual origin of this?
I just want to make sure that you're seeing the cursor. It says you are. Oh, and now is a good time to point out, why are we doing this rather obscure little run through the mountains? It's because of these guys.
Yep.
These guys did an amazing job. It's Mr. Aviation 101. It's on his channel, in cooperation with Angle of Attack, who will be in there with them. And this is where we're headed today. This is the Quartz Creek runway. Take a second look at theirs for a moment. You notice pretty much you got trees right on the side, trees right at the end, and at the threshold down here on the southern side of the runway, the trees are cut back a short distance, but it's pretty boxed in. X-Planes does not replicate this as exactly as we might have liked. We did try grabbing some ortho, and it looked like garbage. Actually, I believe, did I save it for you? Here it is.
Yep, there you go.
So on this side, this is the real one. You can see the trees lining. You can see the little cutback area that X-Plane has actually stuck trees in. And off to the far right, where it should not be, is where the X-Plane runway is today. But because the aerial photography used for the ortho must have been taken on a somewhat gloomy day, it looks bad. It looks pretty darn bad. And since the runways don't line up, I just pulled that back out of there. You don't want to stare at that. So we do highly recommend go check out this Alaska Backcountry Landing by Mr. Aviation 101. It's a fantastic video. You're going to love it.
Hey, Creamers, welcome back, man. Good to see you back on here.
Oh, nice.
We've been up to 3 and then down, so.
Frequent flyers. Okay. All right, well, welcome back. So at this point, now that you've seen the rough plan, did I close it? I just went to a different tab.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
But we're going to go from Homer. We're going to fly up north. We're going to cross 2 lakes. We're going to turn into the mountains, and this is where it gets good. Let's zoom in here for a minute. You can see the elevations. So we're going to have peaks rising up a couple thousand feet on the left and right, and we're probably going to be flying about 2,000 to 3,000 feet, which might.
We want to go above that.
Well, I mean, above ground level.
Oh, AGL. Yeah, gotcha.
So when we turn in here, we're relatively close, and this is why the weather is so important today, because in 172, if we suddenly went into IMC,
it's a rocket ship. It is not.
Yeah, a prayer and a good climb rate are about all you're gonna have. You know, you would have to, I assume. I mean, you just don't want to get in that position. Your best option is probably to
turn around if you've left yourself enough room.
Well, yeah, if you can see your way out, but if you're completely socked in, I guess you're gonna hope to pick a trajectory that takes you down the clearing while attempting to climb above the minimum sector altitude, because I don't know what else you can do to ensure that you don't become part of the mountainside permanently. So that shouldn't be an issue today. Our weather's looking pretty good. We'll turn here, we'll catch the river, and then once we spot Quartz Creek, this is kind of fun. If you go watch Mr. Aviation 101, by the time we actually see it, we're pretty much going to be on it. So we'll come on out and just do a little pattern basically, and turn on in. So it should be a nice landing.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. I will admit to having screwed around with this a little bit. I may or may not have brought an Ilyushin 76 in there yesterday.
Really?
Successfully.
Really?
Yep. It happened. I should have done a screenshot because
that was probably the biggest airplane that's ever been in there.
I'm sure it would never get back out, but
you could on a truck.
You could find plenty of pictures of like derelict Russian aircraft in the middle of woods, and I always wonder, how do they get there?
Right.
Well, I know how that one got there. All right, so Lee is our expert on the Cessna 172 rep.
Ish.
So I'm the one holding the mouse, but I'm going to have him... should we start with the walk around, or you want to do mass and balance and a little bit of flight planning first?
I would say let's just do the walk around, kind of get it normaled up. So...
all right, I'm going to let you tell me what to do, and I'm just going to click things.
Well, we're just going to run through this. I mean, our biggest thing is obviously on the outside. We don't need to do the lights check because that's, really pointless in a sim. So,
all right, we have failures turned off. Oh, we actually do have the a pilot's operating handbook I printed out in about size 2 font here.
Oh, yeah, right.
You need a real one.
Which, yeah, that's actually, a real one. That was for an S, right? Which is good because this is a fuel-injected version, too, so it kind of works.
See, you're out of my league there. I have no idea, but all right.
So, anyway, let's just skip through the next here. Yeah.
If you want to see that page, guys, we have a video on it.
That's true. There is one, and if you're watching in stream, if you hit us quick enough, we might be able to go back.
It's that fuel valve.
Yeah, so fuel on off, and then the selector valve's down at the bottom there.
Right, and it won't actually let me change view right now. This is a fixed viewpoint for this screen.
For the walk-arounds in general, yeah. So your static source off,
Trim.
which pull on, which would mean it's off, right? So trim's neutral, which you've got there.
Right.
And then go ahead, go next. This one's largely useless, but it's something to look at.
Because that door doesn't actually open in the sim.
You're right. And here's the click and hold if you want.
Is it making it sound? Usually you can hear it.
It makes a thud.
All right, there we go.
There you go. And then it goes to the rudder as well. Same thing.
Now this livery did come with the free prop strike. By the way, if you go to grab the prop strike, it takes you to their site, and you're basically going to go like you're purchasing an aircraft, but the price is zeroed out. So it might throw you for a minute, like, wait, I didn't sign up to buy anything, but it's not. They just have you downloading it through their site.
It's like an email or an account creation or something, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
All right, where are we? The tail?
Yeah, we'll get rid of that, and then it's going to go, okay, is your antenna there, yeah.
Actually, flying in Alaska, that's one you definitely want to check.
Actually, that's valid.
That's no joke.
That's a flap jiggle. Make sure it doesn't fall off in your hand. That would be better to find out on the ground.
All right.
Ailerons, then we're going to move around again to the tie down. Back up to the front. Oh, yeah, that's right. We have fuel. 13 gallons, so that's going to be plenty for our trip today.
All right, tires.
Tires are good.
Big and bold.
Oh, your oil is... Mine's darker.
I may or may not have
browner-ish.
refreshed it recently.
Oh, okay. So mine's browner-ish. All right.
Pull the covers.
Yep. And nose wheel.
And by the way, all of these things, these are the rep features that didn't come with the default, and these are not... this walk around is not part of the Bush kit. It is part of the Reality Expansion Pack.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, here's the other wing tank.
Which we did have, while we're going through this here, we did have a question on... I can't remember if it was the Baron or one of the reps. So if you go to the xplane.org store, it's under the Utilities tab. Somebody had asked where to get it.
Where do you find it?
Yeah, because you kind of think it's tied to an airplane, so maybe it's an airplane, but it's actually under the Utilities tab.
All right. And I bought it so long ago, I kind of forgetful. Oh, we're back inside.
I had to go back. Yep, yeah, it does that.
All right, so here we go. You notice you get dirty windows with this livery too, which... for realism's sake, is kind of fantastic, but for actual visibility's sake, I will say it does make it harder.
It's just like your rain.
Trying to see
It's just like rain plugins.
Rain plugins, yeah.
It's cool until someone's trying to land on final and visibility's horrible.
Right, auto land, man. Auto land.
There you go.
There's auto land in here, right?
No.
Wait.
Oh, there's fishing rods.
Mind.
We have fishing rods. That's your radar altimeter right there. You stick it out down the window.
Perfect.
It's like curb feelers.
All right, I'm going to hide the yokes using the Y, so it's a little easier to see here.
Yeah.
So we walk around complete. Let's look at our mass and balance.
Sure.
Front seats.
Yeah, we'll
run that down a little. I'm on the light side, kids.
I'm probably around that one, actually.
You're going to leave that
maybe
there?
a little more, yeah.
We've got about 4 soda cans on board. What's that weigh? About 2 pounds.
That's it?
Baggage pod. All the baggage is off in the other room. The ladies are handling
that's true.
the children
they're handling
for
the
day.
children and themselves.
I apologize in advance if you hear crying. It's not us. All right, so...
We had a part in it, but it's not us. And there's nothing we can do about it.
So tell me about this chart. I haven't looked at one of these in a while.
So vertically, on the vertical axis, there is your weight. And on the horizontal axis is the, I think it's the CG and arms.
So this is weight going up. Okay, so right now we're assuming a takeoff at about 21.5,
2150-ish,
and that's in
60.
pounds. All right.
Right, yeah. And then your landing CG, right, so you're going to burn, obviously the only weight you're losing is fuel.
Okay.
So you would be down to slightly above 2100 at landing. However, that is based on the left column.
On the estimated cruise flow.
Right, the flight time and the cruise. I usually use about 8 gallons an hour, actually, on that cruise fuel.
All right, so takeoff currently with our input weights and fuel, we are at 2,150 pounds. The CG, what do you call this, cord?
No, that's your arm.
CG arm from the balance point is... like 40, is this inches? 40 inches?
Yeah.
40 inches aft of
wherever the reference point is.
Reference point.
So there's a reference point, I forget what they call it, but then your arm is based on the distance from that. I think normally it's kind of like around the firewall or something.
Mm-hmm. All right, and so then as we burn off fuel, that's going to move like an inch forwards. Yeah. And as long as we're in this blue zone, we're within its
envelope,
within the performance envelope of the aircraft. Okay.
Sure.
I just wanted to talk through that to make sure I understood what the heck I was looking at.
And some airplanes are more sensitive to, typically with your wings, with wing tanks, your center of lift and your center of gravity in a trainer or a more entry-level plane, your CG is usually ahead. Hence, when it stalls, it falls forward.
Well, I'm just going to be goofball here.
Just
okay. So
move stuff around.
If I became sedentary and could afford to eat a heck of a lot of food and weighed 300 pounds, you can see our CG would still be within the limits for this aircraft. But if we both did that, we probably would not be able to get this thing off the ground. Is that right?
Yep.
There we go. Take off landing. So, assuming neither of us takes up sumo wrestling, the 172 is an appropriate Flight Brothers aircraft. All right, so we're going to stick with this. We've got our weights and fuel. Flight time estimated 60 minutes. Did we actually... hold on, are we still... We are still broadcasting that display.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm showing you guys what I think I'm showing you.
We think about 100 miles an hour, give or take.
Yeah, let's bump this down. By the way, this is obviously Sky Vector, as you can see from up there.
Sure.
And we're just going to put in just some kind of bogus numbers because it does some ballpark work for you. But Sky Vector does link to the real world, so don't click the filing button. Please don't file a real flight plan for your sim flight. But it will tell us here we're estimating about 53 minutes. We're going to be traveling about 82.3 miles, which that's not a bad little haul. So one of the reasons why I think these trips are so worth doing, especially, I'm going to pick on you Zebo guys for a moment because I'm one of you. When I first got X-Plane back on this machine, I flew... 300 hours of Zebo in like 1 year.
Like the whole year, I think that's pretty much all you flew, right?
That was all I flew because we're doing a virtual airline, and Zebo was so amazing. Why would I not use it?
Right.
And I felt pretty type rated by the end. I mean, I would really could comfortably jump in and do all the flows. It was great. And the thing was though. So there's about a half hour of planning and setup and taxi, and we go running. But then once you hit cruise, what are you going to do? Read a book? Eat lunch? Walk to the kitchen? I went to the grocery store once and came back. So with this, we're going to be busy.
I think you were texting me about that, weren't you?
It's like, hey, man, I'm at the...
how are you at the grocery store doing a flight
I'm in the
right
freezer
now?
section at 35,000 feet. But I think I have time unless there's a line in the checkout before top of descent. But as long as you don't reset the MCP, as some of you have noted in the comment thread, it's not coming down anyway until it runs out of gas. All right, should we run through this maintenance report before we start the engine? Just make sure nothing's weird.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I wouldn't spend a lot of time on this. I got a little bit of criticism over the Baron one recently.
I know,
which was kind of a thrown together.
But for those of you who whined, I will admit I may or may not have had a hard time watching the whole thing myself end to end. But if you need details, they're all there. So no one's gonna say, "Well, you didn't talk about this or that."
That's
nope,
true.
It's there.
And to be honest, it wasn't my best production when I uploaded it.
We got a little rushed.
Yeah, there was a little rush. There was some there was some stuff leading up to that. Make sure you connect the battery.
Okay, here we go. This is important, everybody. The maintenance report. You can disconnect and connect the battery. Guess what happens if you leave it connected? The same thing that happens to a car battery if you leave it connected and don't drive it for months.
Right, it dies.
You can get in here and find the plane won't start, and you'll be like, "Thank goodness Flight Brothers told me."
And I see you also don't have your economy system.
No.
So for those of you not familiar with that, the economy system gives you, when you start, if it's enabled, a $10,000 bank account. You use that to pay for fuel, money, maintenance, and there's a couple upgrades like injectors and like an exhaust manifold or something. So
it's just another way to add realism and gamify it. And
sure.
I did think of a benefit to it. I was actually feeling guilty yesterday because I'm like, man, Lee uses the economy system on everything, and I never do.
Yeah.
And then I realized I don't do it because I'm lazy, but for example, when I was doing test runs for this flight, I didn't take out this plane because I didn't want to mess anything up and have us jump in here and be like, right. Oh, now look at all this maintenance we got to do on the rep because you trashed it yesterday.
Sure.
So here's the plus of it. If you want to add realism, what do you want? A realistic plane, a realistic Zebo? Or would you rather have a realistic sim pilot who takes it seriously enough that, I mean, that's the side I feel like needs to be more realistic. That's why we're going to keep throwing auto land jokes at you guys because The circumstances under which that is necessary and appropriate are so narrow that I don't know why you're talking about it. But if you want to talk about adding realism to your flying, well, hey, there's endless things to talk about there, and I think that's fantastic. So if you add the economy system, then all of a sudden, now you have a real impetus to fly the plane well, because if you blow the tires or you burn up the engine,
you're paying for it.
Foul the spark plugs, then yeah, like so you've got some skin in the game. All right, so are we ready to make this thing move? We've been sitting here for about 20 minutes. People are probably ready to see some action.
Yeah, we need to do it. 25 minutes to be exact.
25 minutes. All right, and
we were about 30 minutes of shooting the crap, I think, on the last one on the FlyJ. So.
We like talking, guys. If you didn't notice. This is actually if you didn't know, these live streams are about the only time we see each other these days, so it's double duty here.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. All right.
Checklist?
Yeah. Okay.
I'll put it on your side.
Yeah, we'll do that. So seatbelts, harnesses don't apply, brakes, test and set. Let's make sure we got the parking brake set.
This is it,
well,
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Fuel selector both, that's already there. Fuel
Yes,
shut
sir.
off in.
Yes, sir.
Breakers do not function in this aircraft.
But there they are.
But there they are. Beacon on.
Should I turn on the battery first?
Where did I skip that?
The battery would have been on from the walk around. Is that
right? Yeah, I think. Well, no, you turn the battery on right here. Master switch.
Okay.
So the light switch goes on, and then the avionics is off.
Okay.
And then so master on.
And I want both, right? The bat.
Oh, this is engine start. We're not on the right tab.
Say what?
There should be another tab here for the pre-engine start.
Oh, that was probably in the walk around. Well, you got the real one in front of you here.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, that's... I feel like this is missing something. Anyway. Alright, so what do you got? You got beacon strobe on, avionics off, okay.
Strobe is not on. Do you want the strobe?
Or no, sorry, not strobe. Yeah, beacon on. Okay.
The beacon's on.
So what we're going to do, this is just... We'll go through the rest of this anyway. Yeah, this is right, okay. So throttle, 1/4 inch, mixture idle cutoff.
All right, let me mess with that throttle, about 1/4 inch. Mixture is to idle cutoff.
Actually, I think it's the bearing, you run it all the way in. Okay, so then the fuel pump is going to go on until you get a peak on your fuel flow.
All right, fuel pump, and where's that fuel flow?
Right there.
All right, tell me when to cut it, because I flood the engine.
Like as soon as it
every time.
stops.
All right, just say when.
Is it on? Turn it off. It didn't even move. Okay, put the mixture all the way rich.
All right, mixture rich. Yep. Fuel pump on. I hear
off.
It's moving. Okay.
Okay. Then let's go back. We'll do 1/4 inch open on the throttle, and then now we're going to pretty much do the start procedure. So clear prop.
And should I pull this back?
No, when it fires, you want to go rich, and then after it gets rolling, start leaning it back out.
So we'll leave it rich.
Yeah.
As soon as it fires, we start pulling back.
Right.
And I actually have that set up right here, so we can.
Okay.
It's this guy is far too. We have some joystick keys set up to make things happen here. Okay. All right. So hold on. If any of you
going to replicate angle of attack?
People go watch the angle of attack, they're gonna go clear. About as ridiculously as that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, so are you gonna run that out for me?
Yeah, sure.
All right. We ready?
Yeah.
Engine's flooded. Mixture full lean.
Okay, follow that procedure then. So we put too much fuel in it.
Lean. I told you, every time I use that fuel pump, it does that.
All right, throttle max.
Throttle, crank it. As soon as it starts. Okay.
Wonderful. All right.
There we go, and all right, we have a live aircraft.
Yeah, I'm leaning it and bringing the RPMs down. Okay. We'll let that go. Man, Creamers, if that's you hanging out with us, appreciate that, because we've been a little bit slow right now, and this actually took a little longer than I thought.
That's all right. And we've also noticed people love their airliners and not as much GA, but sorry, kids, we like both. And we hope you will start to love it too, so we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, what's that joke? Like, the first plane everyone jumps into when you get a flight sim is usually the fastest and most complex.
Right.
But sim pilots fly heavies, real pilots fly general aviation airplanes.
Right, all the real pilots in X-Plane are out there with the gliders, and all the people like me with, like...
Hopes and dreams.
Yeah, hopes and dreams, and 1 hour in a real aircraft have, we're out flying A380s, Concorde. All right, yeah, clear. We need the next page.
Yep, so let's go there. Ignition switch after engine start.
Both.
Okay, so both. Mixture is rich. We already did that. RPM 1,000. I've got us a little below that. But, how's our temp coming up? Temp's still cold.
Temperature's cold.
Yeah.
Oil pressure's right
Is
here
in the
green. That's
Yeah.
good. Mixture leaned max. They want us to lean.
Yeah, we're.
And how are we going to lean that? By watching EGT?
You just kind of eyeball it.
What do you like? What would we be watching to know it's not about to stall, or just listen to it?
Yeah, you can kind of listen to it, because if you start leaning it too much, it's going to start running rough.
Okay.
It'll be
so once we get to that sputter, we've gone too
Yeah,
far.
exactly. But it'll kind of do the same thing too if it's too rich. It would.
Gotcha.
Anyone who's had an old car, especially a carbureted one, when you get out and the fumes are burning your eyes, it might be a little too rich.
All right, flaps are retracted because we didn't do
We didn't
that
do anything
in
with
the
them.
pre-flight anyway.
Yep.
Avionics, we can kick those on now. Go ahead and show everybody what we stashed back there. Hit the pop-up button on the.
What am I doing?
Grab the nav box.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Do you want that here? Will that?
Let's move that up here. Let me see.
It's got plenty of cable. So the Garmin shows up in the default laminar. They don't have it here in the Bush kit, but my external has a pop-up button to make it pop out. So whatever. I just like. I've got this external, so I feel like using it. So here we go. It's there.
Yeah, we may interact with it. Again, this one's kind of VFR, so for any of you who don't really use it as a VFR, hopefully with Sky Vector and what we're doing today, you can kind of see how that's going to work and how you can replicate your own flights.
All right, so for instruments, we're going to need to grab, I guess we could tune the radio. We could definitely do that. Should we grab that?
What are we doing? Oh, ATIS or the AWAS or whatever it is.
Welcome to Homer.
Oh, there's your ATIS right there.
Oh, it was on that page?
Yeah. Yeah, it's on the first page or whatever.
All right, 135.65, and that, sir, is going to be your job.
3565.
Oh, never mind. Hold on. Just slow your roll because that's
faster.
The dial on the external is not good for this decimal. It will take a century, but you can pop the toggle. There you go.
Homer weather. Wind 070 at 5. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 11,000 few. Temperature 2.5. Altimeter 2957.
All right. Well,
Don't get runaways or anything.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
that's good weather for our flight today.
The wind was 070 at 5, so that would lend itself to runway 4.
Sure.
It's a little crosswind.
Is there any terrain issues on that one though?
After takeoff?
Yeah. Actually, I don't think so, because I think when I kind of did a little flight out of this area, I think that was no, that's good.
Yeah,
that was a good departure.
The main thing is if you take off and try and turn inland here, the terrain is rising a couple hundred feet, and with the rather anemic climb rate of Cessna, you don't want to immediately turn left towards this this area. It's just gonna surprise you a bit. But we're planning to stay out here over the water anyway. It's more scenic anyway. Okay, so that's where we're at, and 2957 is what I heard.
The altitudeness.
Right.
Can I get rid of this?
Yeah, get that out of here, and we can get this out of here too. Cleaned up a little. 2957.6. And now this is one of the things that is not that much fun in these. It is better than the older laminar ones where if you zoom in, they're not clear enough to see. So would you call that 296?
Sure. And then down 3.
1, 2, 3. That's how I do it. I wouldn't try and count these tally marks, guys.
No.
It's just...
And to be honest, you can see when you move there, each tenth is, what, like 10 feet or something like that. So it's...
Right. We're not going to be relying on that level of precision from the altimeter today.
Right.
All right. So, instruments. Are there any other instruments we should be setting?
Do we want to pull any VORs?
This guy.
Oh, yeah, the compass and the
So that's about what?
HSI?
Would you call that 127? 128?
I'll buy 127, 128, yeah.
127. So we're going to set... What is this called? A gyro compass?
Yeah, directional gyro.
And I'm going to do the drag and click because it's faster. 1, 2, let's call that 7. That will need to be calibrated every
I don't know,
once in a while.
Yeah, 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it just...
You
it
get the
gets
warning,
odd.
too, though, when it drifts or it'll say out of alignment.
I hope I didn't click the never show me this again. But yes, there is a warning in X-Plane. And as with most of their warnings, you can tell it not to come back. But I hope I didn't do that. Okay, live traffic hasn't said anything. I haven't seen anything pop up, so there's probably nothing in the area. Sometimes there is, but we're about ready for taxi, right?
Do we have a VOR we want to tune up? And then
yeah.
do we want a heading on the autopilot to kind of set up?
Yeah,
just prep it.
let's check that. What is our nearest? Okay, so
Homer's 14.6.
So we're here, and there's Homer.
Yeah.
And so... a couple ways you could do it. You could fly to Homer, but there's a little bit of a terrain issue there, and then track a specific course on out.
Right.
Well, yeah, I guess you're looking at it right now. We're up at Homer, Alaska. PAHO is your ICAO code. And since we've got a viewer asking at the moment, I'm going to pop us out to the world view just for a moment. We want world VFR, right?
Sure.
So there's Homer. And sorry, I'm going to nauseate you with scrolling. Now we're in the ocean. I don't think that's
Perfect.
what I was trying to do, guys. I don't think that's what...
Oh, there we go.
I believe I have scrolled out a bit excessively. All right, so...
This is what it would look like from the moon.
Here's Alaska, and you can see our course today. It's going to be right there. It actually makes the trip look extremely long.
Yeah, it does. That's surprising.
Yeah.
But compared to the entire state, you kind of get a sense of...
Well, I believe that's is that the Mercator projection thing where the grid
Yeah.
squares get stretched vertically but not horizontally. It's why on most maps Greenland looked absurdly large, and things around the equator don't look very big.
Right.
But whatever, if you want to make a cool flight map, if you're doing Project Fly, do a lot of flying near the North and South Pole, and it looks like you've done a ton of flying because the lines are extremely long.
If they're really long, yeah.
All right, so we're ready to go here. Are we going to tune that?
Yeah,
or,
do we want to get that?
Or we
Yeah,
can tune
let's-
up Kenai and use that as a reference.
Or use... I would say tune 1 on 1 and 1 on
Okay, so we're going
2.
to tune up Homer as the primary and Kenai as the secondary.
Yeah.
Okay, so Homer 114.6.
Yeah.
All right, so that sir is going to be you. 114. Hey,
Where-
lucky day. It looks
where's
like
that?
somebody's been here before.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
All right.
And then what's our other one there?
What are the odds that Kenai is 109? Where so much information. Here we go. 117.6. 117.6.
How do I do the flip down? Is that one? Nope.
Here. To switch, everybody, you're going to
Oh,
click
it's the
this.
push, yeah,
And
okay.
it's so that you only have one knob to change both of those. So 117.6. And
you
this
wanna
one's
do that
no,
one?
because it's only 2 decimals, so it's actually pretty fast.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, yeah, I see. It's not the 8.33k hertz or whatever the frequency separation.
And somebody hasn't downloaded their Navigraph.
Shame on you. I did mine just earlier this week,
I'm
actually.
just lazy about it, guys, because I haven't been flying any airliners this week. And let's go delete that, just so if we refer to this, it's out of there. Okay.
Here we go.
Hold on. Sometimes I get lost in here and I can't.
I do the same thing. What are you trying to accomplish?
I'm trying to get back
Here.
out.
Okay, now go back to, I think, flight plan.
There we go. There we go. Don't ask me how we got out, but we're out. Okay. Are we ready to taxi?
Probably. We've been on like 40 minutes and have not even moved.
I'm sorry if you guys like a fast-paced thing. You're not getting it today.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure that out.
All right.
So yeah, we got a nav H set up.
Brakes,
We got
compass maneuver free flight instruments check.
yeah.
You know, for what it's worth, if we were flying for real, if we were actually in the aircraft, I believe we would be taking this long.
I think that's a fair statement. We would have probably spent an hour doing pre-flight planning and all that stuff.
Right.
We'd have charts with us, and
There probably would have been a lot more planning involved.
yeah, probably
All right,
more productive time than what we've
before
spent.
takeoff. These are things to do out at the hold, yes?
Yeah, you can do those at the run-up
All right,
area.
so I'm going to close this.
Or do it now and then not do it, because I think where you're at, it's a super short taxi to the end of the runway.
Yeah, but we're going to taxi because
Okay.
we have been here a long time and this aircraft has not moved.
Lon, no, we're not playing with Smart Copilot. We're for these live streams, we've actually just we get together and hang out over here. We're over at Tim's house now, so we are old school in it. Real life, go over to your friends.
All right. Am I doing something wrong?
Did you release the parking brake? Yeah, and
Yes.
parking brake's released. Okay, come up on power because you got the big spongy tires.
All right.
It's starting to move.
Okay.
Maybe-
I'm like
maybe
floored.
cycle.
Hold on. Listen to the engine.
Fuel.
Yeah. Look at our RPMs. What's going on down there?
I don't know.
There we go. I just richened it up and now it's happy.
Okay. Well, then watch
We
for the
were just-
fouling plug thing too.
We're just too lean. Woo! Now we're moving.
So you're in a full-size simulator? Ha! No, not quite. We're
We're at a desk.
yeah, we're at a desk, just like how you guys would play it. We've just got 2 office chairs sitting here, a laptop next to the TV or next to the screen, and then that's how we can interact on the chat. Tim's pilot flying here, and I'm pilot doing random task.
I wish you really wouldn't have blamed it on me right now.
I mean, I'm flying.
I'm taxing like garbage.
That's okay. Yeah, see, there's your...
All right, I'll lean it out a bit. And I feel like we can taxi down here to get some more runway, right? There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, that does sound really bad.
Yeah, watch the RPMs. I mean, she's not happy.
Huh.
Now, I will say, well, this has been going on for me when I've used this before,
Okay.
but only since putting in the prop strike thing. So I don't know if that's something that's changed with the Bush.
I have not experienced this particular thing with the regular rep, so, and I have only flown this, I think 1 or 2 times, and I had the issue. I think you resolved it with the rep. If you have the license, it can only be activated or something on one aircraft at a time.
Yeah, so here's the deal. We're running 2 plugins on this aircraft. So I was already running the rep, and then I got the Bush kit, and so then I had to go and basically install the rep over the Bush kit to make it operate together, which turned out to not be that difficult, but it is a little bit different here. Okay, so it's time, and I'm going to lean us out a little bit just because I don't want that fouling message, but it's time to do our run-up and all that gobbledygook. All right, parking brakes.
Set flight
Set.
controls. Free and correct.
And let's jump out because we can actually look at it here. So, elevator up, elevator down, aileron left, aileron roll right, rudder right, rudder left. Okay, free and correct.
Super duper fuel both.
Instrument set, fuel is still both.
Do we want to flip a heading bug on that?
Heading bug. Yeah, let's go see what.
Runway is 04, I think, right?
We want to go about 4.2.
Yeah. There's a bug 4.2.
Do. Alright. 4.1.2. Okay, 4.2 bugged.
Super trim set.
Trim is basically neutral.
Take off, okay. Mixture rich for run up.
Mixture rich.
Yeah, bring 1800.
Okay, throttle to 1800 RPMs.
And then you're going to go, let's see, ammeter check. So engine instrument suction over there.
Try and hit 1800 on the money there.
Yeah,
okay,
green.
which one? We're watching the amps.
Vacuum is suction.
Amps and
VAC.
vacuum. Okay, and we're going to switch magnetos, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we're on left magneto.
This is going to be RPMs, what you're looking for.
Oh, you want to watch the RPMs?
Yep.
Okay, and what's the maximum diff we should see?
About 125 and then 50 between the two, which is what
Alright,
what it's saying there.
It's close to 200 there.
Okay.
And then, all right, left and right are matching.
Yep.
And they're both. Oops, sorry, that's the starter. Not
Yep.
good.
Good thing you don't have that economy running.
Whew. Grind it up. All right, so
And then-
engine instruments check, suction. That was the vac,
Yep.
right?
We've
That's
done
good.
that. We're down to.
And the suction runs the instruments, right? The gyros.
That's your anything that's a vacuum. So your artificial horizon here.
All right, we did the magneto check, throttles, idle check,
Yep. So just bring it back to idle.
and then run this back a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, brakes, doors are closed, flaps. We're not going to use any flaps, right? For those of you flying airliners all the time, these straight wing GAs, more often than not, are going to land with flaps but not take off with them. Does that seem accurate?
Sure.
I believe that's been what I've read on most of the sim GA stuff I've got. That's straight wing and reciprocating engines. Okay, mixture. So if we're ready to go, we're going to run up the mixture.
You don't have them on gliders, but you've got spoilers.
Interesting. Oh, we've got some more takeoff things. Let's do taxi lights. Probably should have that on already. Nav lights and
Strobe will need.
I like strobes. So
What's our pitot heat? Can you look at our temperature outside? And then we actually have that to deal with too.
Sorry, where's
Hit the OAT, the button on top. See, this is voltage. That's fair. Okay.
50. They learn something new every day. 52 Fahrenheit, 11 Celsius.
Yeah. And we may want to either
Lean.
either that or bring our
Bring it
PM
up.
up.
All right, there you go. All right, so climb speed's gonna be 79 knots. Throttle will be full power. Transponder should be on, and it is currently off. Let's go on. 1200's the VFR, right?
Yep. And actually, if we want to hit alt, that'll be the altitude reporting. So that would be kind of like your standby on, and then
Okay,
I think, right?
there we go. So
Maybe wrong on that one actually.
quick little check out the window, and it looks.
Yeah, Lon, the 172 modeled in here is I think it's the S or the SP, so it does not have a carb heat. It's actually fuel injected. So that's why there is no carb heat in here.
All right. Well, it looks clear left and clear right. So. This is Golf Bravo Charlie Sierra. We're take off runway 4, Homer. All right, and we're still rich. Is that the brake squeal?
Yeah, I think so.
Lovely.
Were you on the brakes there?
No, not really.
Oh. Maybe it's just this is an old war horse.
Well, center line's kind of nice to have. Let's go find that. All right, and we are full power. And I think they said climb is 79 knots.
Yeah, you'll rotate it about 60.
Yeah, she feels ready. There we go. We're moving now. All right, I'm going to trim us for climb.
Do we have a functional cruise altitude? We're gonna do like 4,000 or 5,000 feet.
Well, our heading is 042.
4.2, and then we're gonna make a left turn a little ways up, right? So we'll be about 0.3.
So what's our appropriate altitude?
In odd north and east. So.
And is VFR the one that does 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's. So yeah, it'd be 3,500, 5,500,
right.
7,500.
Let's start with 3,500.
Okay. I know I was at 5,500 when I was kind of monkeying around with this the other day when you had this idea, and actually flew over the Kenai, is it the Kenai Glacier or whatever? Mm-hmm. The glacier that we're going to be going to the west of on this flight. And I think it was a pretty solid overcast deck at 6,000. I was at 5,500, but some of the terrain was about 4,000 feet, which you'll actually see on the sky vector if you look at it.
All right.
So I was at 5,000, but 100 feet above. Or 1,000 feet above.
So I take it you didn't cross this section over here?
No, yeah, I went over here.
Oh, okay.
I actually went right through here. And then there's like these little fingers up here, I think, and that was...
All right. I think about 6 seconds is the max we can look at that before our aircraft is completely off course. Maybe later we'll kick in some heading hold and look at that a bit more. Right.
How long was this going to take?
We're
it's only
estimating
like 40 minutes,
about
right?
53 minutes total.
Okay.
And we might jump out and do a little bit of sightseeing as we go here. We've got about 1,500 feet before we're at the altitude we really want to be. I can already kick in heading here, right? Just
yeah.
All right.
It didn't go.
I just got a
Or did
AP
it?
disconnect horn.
Yeah, you did. Is there no autopilot in this? Does the prop strike bush mod take it out?
Well, wouldn't that be unfortunate? I'm going to hit altitude. Okay.
There, I'll...
We getting some frame rate?
Yeah. There's something going on.
Alright, well, we're picking up airspeed pretty quick there.
Yeah. What's can we reduce power slightly?
You have control.
All right, I have control.
You're still at max power, and we're full rich at the moment.
What's going on with this?
Here's your trim if you want.
Oh.
Okay. It was engaged.
It was.
It was engaged.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why it was fighting you. Okay.
Yeah.
You mind if we look down?
Yeah, no,
see the trim
do
for a
what you
second?
got to do.
Okay, she's trimmed way.
Okay, here, take over.
All right.
So,
See how she wants to.
retrim it because
yeah.
it's wanting to.
So this right hand one is our trim up, and left is trim down.
Oh, Lon says we've got we're still in out.
Yeah, I think we managed to kick it out now, but
Speed's increasing.
you are correct. That is what was going on there. All right, so I'm gonna let the speed stay because we actually want to climb to 3,500.
Right.
Okay.
No, Lon, this is the standard scenery up here. At the beginning of the stream, Tim was talking about he tried to get some ortho for this area, but there were some
It's terrible.
oddities in the presentation. Yeah, so we elected not to use it on this.
The basically the aerial photography must have been taken on a gloomy day, and so when X-Plane tries to overlay its own shadowing onto it, it goes from bad to worse. So after comparing the two, it was just substantially better to use the default scenery, which unless I'm flying over my own house, quite honestly, the default scenery, it's not bad.
And it takes up a lot less space on your hard drive.
And the frame rates. The frame rates.
I'm kind of panda. You guys have VR. No. No, we don't have VR for the X-Plane here.
We have used VR for on the Xbox.
No, PlayStation.
PlayStation. I don't know my consoles for a variety of things. What, racing?
Yeah.
That Apollo 11 thing, which is
That was pretty cool.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But I've got to admit, I'm prone to motion sickness in the VR, which is funny because I don't get motion sick in an actual Cessna. But
The eyes and body have to agree.
right, and I think that's really what it is. I remember instantly getting myself sick reversing a car because my brain just couldn't handle. I mean, I felt sick for the next like 2 hours after reversing about 10 feet.
Well, you were going, I think, like 100 miles an hour, and then it spun left and hit that guardrail.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about my my driving skills. They're questionable.
No, Lon, well, I don't think the PlayStation VR works on PC. I haven't figured out how to do that.
Oh, rotating here. I'll hit the brakes just to stop that.
I think a lot of them use the Oculus, or there's one other one, but no, this was on the PlayStation.
Oculus is certainly the one I hear people talk about.
Yeah.
We are definitely getting some frame rate issues, which is interesting.
It's kind of hazy and murky too, which kind of sucks. But we'll have to watch that, watch our heading and watch our landmarks especially.
Right. Well, we're still out over the.
Yeah, can we pop the chart up there so they can see?
I'll tell you what. Let's just reduce
we're-
the chart in size so we can keep an eye on our.
Yeah. So we're probably like around here.
Right. So we're coming up this Keshemak Bay, and this is where those super realistic, scratched up old. Is it plexiglass on a Cessna?
What?
The windows.
I don't know.
It just wouldn't surprise me for weight if they were plexiglass. But
Sure.
anyhow, it makes it pretty hard to see. As you can see from outside, it's a lot clearer out here. So there's the termination of Keshemak Bay, and that Bradley Hydro would be up there, which I don't believe that's
I don't think it's modeled.
shown in X-Plane. And this is the terrain we were talking about off to the left, where Kenai Peninsula is not as flat as you might like. And there's the Homer Airport back behind us. All right.
Yeah, thanks, Lon. Good luck on the exam, and yeah, we'll continue to have some fun. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you. Coming up on our cruising altitude of 3.5
So what we're doing, 35.
minus the O. So here's the fun, though. I mean, we've been in the air for I'm not sure how many minutes, but we have not really, other than that few seconds we messed up,
Maybe
been on
10.
autopilot.
Oh, we can click the, we can start that if you hit select. See how that UT's illuminated? Local time.
Okay.
Click it again. I think
Flight
that's,
time?
I think it's flight time or system time maybe.
Oh, since
and then
the
if you
engine
click
started?
it again, it'll go to elapsed time, then hit control and it'll start running.
There we go. Clock is running.
And we may...
Oh, we
wanna-
just crossed 350, so I'm going to punch out.
Okay.
And we should see the trim responding. As well as you would expect. What's going on here? Let me try and put in heading. Nav? Oh my goodness, what?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Nav
Hold on.
engaged heading.
Okay.
Yeah, it's turned to 042,
Okay.
which is fine. I'm just more annoyed that the nav.
Is it capturing? It's capturing the altitude too. It looks like.
Right, I think it's taking command. Okay, I'm gonna bring back our RPMs. We're near
Yeah.
red. And can we?
We're still pretty low. We don't need to lean really.
Okay. Oh, right, below 3,000.
Yeah, like around 3,000, you can still pretty much run full ridge.
All right. Well, we're 3,500.
I mean, we could lean it a little bit just to save us some pennies.
Save the environment. Save the whales.
But if we go to climb, we want to make sure to enrich it and everything. And we might want to go ahead and get on our pitot heat as well. We're within 10 degrees of freezing. And I don't know with what's going on up here if this is how much moisture it is.
All right, so our OAT, right, 0 Celsius would be the freezing point. We're at 4 Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit, and we're at 39 Fahrenheit. All right, I'm going to jump outside again just because the interior plexiglass is so scratched up looking. Again, we've referred to it earlier. Go watch the Mr. Aviation 101 video where they do this trip for real. It's absolutely amazing and beautiful and completely replicatable. Even if you don't have the rep or the bush kit, you can take the stock Laminar Cessna out and do this whole trip. It'll do it just fine.
Well, and have you watched all of the series yet?
I have not. I've watched about 4 or 5 episodes.
Okay, all of it is fantastic. And for all of us that have, you know, a Cessna 172, which we all do in X-Plane and even, I'm sure, P3D and Flight Sim, to go and replicate it and just watch it. I mean, the way Josh is his name, Josh Flowers, and the way he's able to capture, you know, flight and the enjoyment of general aviation, and I think is it Chris from Angle of Attack?
Yes, I believe
I think
so.
his name's Chris.
I'm going to turn us left to 013.
Yeah.
It's right about the end of the lake.
To follow them on this Alaskan trip after a couple weeks ahead of Oshkosh, I mean, it's fantastic. The scenery is just phenomenal, and it really shows the utility of general aviation aircraft, which in Alaska, I think you talked about it in our last live stream, is very much the Corolla of Alaska, because there's so little roads and it's such a massive state. There's so much wilderness and terrain.
Right, like this trip we're doing today of 83 miles or whatever it is, 82.3 miles. To do this by car, I mean, I assume there's roads that connect from Homer the whole way up there, but I'm sure it's a haul. Yeah, everything's just so remote. You know, the utility of aviation is substantially higher, where here in the lower 48, is it fair to say that there's people who have to invent reasons to go flying?
Yeah, well, and I don't know if that's to say we're spoiled or they're so rural or whatever. One of the later ones, they went up, I think it was like episode like 9 or 10 or something. I forget how many parts were in there, but they flew into an airport, and then they were staying at this place like overnight. I think it's the one actually that has the otter on floats or something as the thumbnail.
All right.
But they pretty much go up there and they're like, yeah, go ahead and stay here. This is your place for the night. If you get hungry, come over to this other little place that's right next door. Open it and leave your money on the counter.
All right.
Or settle it in the morning. So they walk over, open a freezer. They've got like frozen pizzas and, you know, all this food stuff.
Wow.
And I think it was like a town of 100 or 200 people.
It's fascinating. You know, I guess one of the other things that's really great about that, and it's not just Mr. Aviation 101,
Sure.
It's not just Angle of Attack. Since they're both in the cockpit, elbow to elbow, the conversation really makes it interesting, because it's not just one pilot telling you their thoughts and what's interesting. Josh is really picking the brains of, was it Chris?
Yeah, it's Chris, yeah.
And Chris is a CFI up here in Alaska, and so you really...
Which Josh is a CFI in Texas.
Right.
So to hear one professional talk to another professional, and you've got to really, in this environment in aviation, safety's paramount. So if there's something that you're not comfortable with, you got to speak up. You know, the air is moving over these mountains. There's updrafts, downdrafts.
Right. Well, you know what's funny? I feel like they were talking about that right about this point in their video.
Were they?
Because I seem to remember looking out the window and Chris is telling him about, you know, the theory of thinking of it, trying to visualize
it was
water.
a river, right?
Like, how would water flow over these rocks? Where would it flow down? Where would it be kicked back up? and to use that to try and interpret where you might get slapped around in a light aircraft. And then Josh is very humble in appreciating that, you know, he's had training for short field and training for mountain flying, but he hasn't had the situation where
application to apply.
Yeah, to really do it. So
Are you fine solo flight if I refill beverages?
Sure. Lee's going to be a flight attendant for the moment. That one's ready for the recycling.
All right.
We're not going to throw it out the window because we don't want to trash the Alaskan wilderness here.
What is that they say, like tread lightly or tread softly or something? Like the Parks and Recreation?
Tread softly and carry a big stick. I think that's Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh.
But if we're talking about recycling, it's something, something
There's
along
one
those lines.
for off-roading ATV people.
All right. So let's just take a peek at the in-game map here. You notice it's not nearly as precise as SkyVector, although it really does have the same information. You've got your minimum sector altitudes. You can see all the terrain and the topography, but you lose the labeling as well as some of the other sort of landmark items. So let's pull back up and we'll kind of compare the two here. So we're coming up on Tustamena Lake, if I'm saying that correctly, which I'm probably not. We're a little southerly of the planned course that we had been intending to take, which means we might need to turn out a little bit just for the terrain here before getting up to Skilak Lake, where we will turn into the mountains, and that's really where this trip gets good. That's where it just becomes beautiful, and we get to look at the glaciers and everything else. So for the time of year, we have this wonderful endless sunset that Alaska is known for. We've mentioned it in some of our videos, and in the Mr. Aviation 101 it definitely comes up and they talk about it quite a bit. But since we're at such a high latitude, the sun is just going to appear to be floating out there for quite a ways. And we spent a lot longer on the ground than I anticipated before we took off today, so I had expected we actually might be arriving around this time and not just en route. Alright, so let's check out our fuel flow here. Gallons per hour, we're at around 14. Everything's in the green. Guess I can kill our taxi light. I'm going to leave our landing light on. Since we're in VFR and at twilight. Did you know twilight is actually, it's not fully twilight, the sun's not down
Civil
yet.
twilight?
But twilight is actually the worst time of day for the human eye.
Yeah.
I heard this in a driver's ed, but I think it's going to apply a little bit in aviation as well, where, you know, in the early morning or the late evening when the sun's just about to come up or just gone down, there's so much light in the air, at the sky, I should say.
Light noise,
that
almost.
you feel like it's very bright out, and you feel like I could get away without headlights, and occasionally you see those fools driving down the street without them. But the main issue is there's too much contrast, so it's so bright in the sky that your eyes have dilated.
Yeah, dilate.
But they
Or
can't
constrict.
adjust back down to the oh, you're right, yeah, that's right, dilation is for the dark. So when you look back down on the ground, it's actually the hardest time to see a vehicle. So you would think in the dark would be harder, but actually in the dark, particularly if people have their headlights on as they should, it's much simpler. So I would think that would apply in the air as well, that this aircraft, depending on the angle you are at and its lovely brown paint, we're not really going to jump out of the scene that much. So having our landing light on is probably prudent.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I don't think anyone would complain about it. I think the biggest reason you would really turn it off is just to save you having to replace it.
Darn those light bulbs.
Right. I don't know what to say on that.
Save $5 to actually I have no idea what an aviation lamp costs. I'm sure it's actually a very expensive bulb because it's pretty intense.
Probably comparatively speaking, yeah. But
Compared to replacing the lamp on your Corolla, it's gonna be a little pricey.
hey, so looking ahead, how's our terrain? Like, what's our?
Well, I was just mentioning that, but you had
I wasn't
literally
here.
jumped out of the Cessna, skydived down to a nearby kitchen,
Oh, okay.
and somehow magically Iron Man flown yourself back to the cockpit. So welcome
Sure.
back, Lee.
Yeah. Hey,
Yes, we have
thanks
some.
for having me.
We have some high ground approaching as
Okay.
as your eyeballs will tell you out the window, and so since we're a little southerly of our course, actually this
Victor 438.
there we go, Victor. Is that an airway? We call this
Yeah.
Victor Airways.
Yeah.
That Victor Airway is probably there because it actually avoids this terrain. So
Fair enough.
we can turn now or climb. I think another 1,000 feet or so would get us there, but pretty much as soon as we get up there, we're going to be turning in to this.
If we look on
Canyon.
the sky vector, it actually has kind of the, I can't remember what the term is, the relief or whatever. You can see like the 2,000, and there's the 3,000 foot this color,
Oh, all right.
and then up to the 5,000 feet there.
All right, so let's compare. We're right about here because we're just coming over the land, so we're pretty close to a 2,000 or 3,000 foot, and we're 3,500, so we should actually
Yeah.
clear it. But
Should.
you know, we might be tickling some tall
Some trees. There's some trees tickling us. Can you say that?
So while you were out of the room, I was also mentioning that we talked longer than I anticipated, and as a result,
At the beginning?
right,
Sure.
I thought we would be landing in this beautiful golden hour.
Yeah.
Oh, look at those clouds. Explainers love clouds.
Yeah, those are actual clouds, so there's no, we'll go ahead and say there's no active sky and
Right.
and whatever. Those are just normal.
Just a little joke for all of you scenery buffs out there. That is not our bag. We don't have a single video on the channel about scenery add-on. Well, we have scenery
No,
add-ons,
yeah.
but we don't have like weather add-ons because we don't have our head in the clouds. I don't know how to say it. It's just neither one of us really cares too much about the clouds
Sure.
unless they're thunderheads and going to crash our aircraft. Then we're much more concerned about them.
Yeah, because you can either see through them or you can't. So you're either VFR or you're IFR. So
You know, these scratchy windows and the
terrain,
terrain and
the sun.
sunlight is leading me to question the life decision of talking for 40 minutes on the ramp.
Well, I think we need to make a course adjustment to the left and or climb, or both. But I think we need to do something sooner rather than later.
All right, well, let's go for a climb. So
Okay.
earlier I disengaged altitude here, but it didn't seem to actually do it. So let's just use VS and do 300.
And I'll bring power up.
And should I rich it? Or?
Sure. Yeah. Go full rich.
All right, so watch our RPMs there. Look at this. Look at the.
Nothing going on there. Got 9 hours.
No, that's 0.9 hours, right?
Oh yeah, right.
We're breaking this baby in, kids. This is the inaugural flight, which is funny for how beat this plane looks. But maiden voyage, I only downloaded the Bush kit pretty much to do this video. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew it was out there. I just, I don't know. There's plenty of other nonsense I've been downloading and adding, and you can. I'm sure if you're an avid X-planer, you've had those days where you got in the X-plane forum and downloaded 12 different things,
Sure.
and then didn't have time to use any of them. So.
You know, the one thing that I wish there was more of, and I've looked for it a little bit, but not significant amount of time. You know, I've wasted like all day looking for it. Is the default C90 King Air liveries? Like, there's a couple out there. Which can we say that's coming up?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we should actually talk about our schedule and why this is happening
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Go for it. You're on top.
Well, let me take the first one, and then you can take that
Yeah.
part. So the livery that was featured in the cold and have I done that yet?
No, you
Oh,
recorded
it's coming
but
out
Thursday.
Okay, so yeah, this Thursday coming out is the default King Air C90, and that is a cold and dark start. So we're going to take you guys through that. It's a pretty short one. We've got a little bit of the flight that I completed post production of that video that we've rolled into the back. It's only a couple minutes long, but the entire tutorial is like 11 minutes, so pretty short. And so in looking for that, I have a University of South Carolina Gamecocks livery. Two of my friends went to that school, and so I saw that, downloaded it. But yeah, I think the C90 is a little short on liveries for, I think it's the clouds and the weather, man.
Yeah, sorry guys, frame rate.
We're working on that too. We're going to try and do some minor computer upgrades here in the near future to help support the streaming.
Actually, if you are more of a tech person and know about this, our main lag point, at least on this machine, Lee has his own machine at his house that he records his videos on. But my main lag point is OBS. I'm frequently running 50, 60 frames per second. And then I turn on OBS, and even if I'm not streaming or recording, just having OBS on, I'm down to like 20. And it's interesting, it's usually a pretty smooth 20. But you would think at 20 it would start looking clipping, because it's pretty close to that rate where your eyes can detect it. But
yeah.
Like here, a second ago, it was a little choppy, and then it just right now smoothed out. Nothing's changed, haven't touched a single control. Although we are aware that in stream it's probably going to look choppier anyway, because I was seeing on the OBS, I think it says something like 39% of the frames are getting dumped, they're not actually transmitting. And I don't know if that's because of the upload rate, but this is only our third stream, everybody. We're going to be working on updating our system a bit, hopefully, if possible, maybe updating. If you didn't know this, your download rate is usually many times the upload rate your internet provider is going to grant you, and so for streaming that's not advantageous.
Sure.
So we might check into that.
These things cost money, so we're trying to balance what we do on the channel with viewership, with time, with expenditures and all that. So we're learning as we go in this whole process.
Right. And I'm going to bring our course a little bit left here.
And I think before we got off on the computer thing, we were
Schedule.
talking about the schedule.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you've been a Flight Brothers follower for a while, we've been running a weekly schedule, and basically every other week you're either you'll hear one of us every week, but we've been alternating weeks, and maintaining that schedule has actually been pretty challenging. Both Lee and I work full-time jobs, and we're both dads, and we have children in the house. Both of us have new children in our house under the age of 1, and so balancing work, life, and a hobby that we treat like a job has been challenging. And we started this live streaming. This is now the third live stream, and we've been having fun with it. So if you're not having fun listening to us have fun on the plane, go watch our videos. They're pretty well produced, and we sink a lot of time into them.
And or give us feedback.
Please comment, because quite honestly, all we can do is watch the view numbers, and sometimes we'll make a video that we think is the best thing since sliced bread, and nobody watches it.
It'll have like 10 views in the first week, and it might get 100.
No, we have
after
noticed,
6 months.
again, to tease you Zebo people, of which I am one of you. I just have been putting the brakes on it to make these videos. But we did notice if we slap Zebo onto a video, its viewership was like quadruples.
Well, yeah. And the only thing we can
So
attribute,
popular.
right, is the popularity.
Because it's good. I mean, it deserved to be popular. Not knocking that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's free, so it's attainable for everyone. And it's a good way to get your feet wet for the people that don't want to spend or can't, for whatever reason, spend $40, $50, $70, $90 for an add-on aircraft. So we understand and agree with its popularity, but at the same time, We do enjoy the different facets of the of flying, so we like flying a variety of aircraft. So hopefully we'll be picking up a few, maybe I've been eyeballing a few myself, and I know we have a few projects that we've been watching and following their development in.
So on that schedule note, the new plan at the moment, and we'll see,
Sure.
and your feedback will help with this. So fire us comments, find us on Facebook, Instagram, let us know. But we're thinking to go to alternating weeks. A video, the kind you're used to getting from us, 1 week, and then the following week we'll do a stream. It might be related to the video, like we did FlyJ Sim 727, and then the next week we did a stream. FlyJ even... Well, we had two FlyJ
there were two
developers in the stream. And they were a hoot because we were just about to land, and they're like, well, we're still here watching, guys, just to, like, razz.
And then we flew the whole flight with the APU on. So
Well,
if you haven't seen that...
We flew the whole flight with the APU switch on. I'm
right.
pretty certain, now that we went and read something on it, because they told us about melted tires, and at first I didn't understand and thought they meant, like, we burnt up the brakes.
Because we also forgot to put the auto brakes on.
And then it turns out the APU on the 727 is in the gear bay. So if you close the gear bay and the APU is running, it doesn't have its own air intake. It's just going to consume what's available there and then maybe melt the tires. It could cause a fire. It's generally a bad idea, but other than that, I think the flight was I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out.
And if you're watching us, we out-climbed our initial altitude that we wanted to get to, and now we're descending back to it.
Right.
But,
Well, we popped up for some terrain, and I'll tell you what, for the canyons here, I'd like to be about halfway.
where are we at now? We're here, right? So we're trying to get to the Ski-Lac Lake,
Right.
which is right in front of us.
So we're about to turn in here, and these are about 5,000. I'd like to be about 25.
We can pick up a radial off of the 095?
095 out of
Kenai,
Kenai,
which
so,
I think
okay.
is our nav 2.
So let's do that now. Go ahead and kick the pop-up in. Transfer us. You've got to click this guy first. Oh, you already did it. Never mind.
There's
what do you want?
Kenai. Okay.
And we want 092.
Yeah, how do we do that?
Well, the radial is our current radial, so it's counting down. So we just are going to fly till 092 and then turn, right?
Or we can rotate that to 092. This.
Hold on,
And then go.
turning now. This guy to 092. Oh, wrong way.
Other way,
Okay, never. I don't know what I'm
Just-
doing. I'm doing it the wrong way. I'm just keep
yeah.
going.
We'll get there.
9.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's 1-2-ish. Alright, so we're going to start our turn here into the mountains. We're descending through 3,000. I think about 2,500. Maybe we should level up.
Weren't we at 2,500? And then we climbed
We
to
were
like
at 3,500. We climbed, I think, to almost 5,000
Okay,
because we were talking and not really monitoring it.
sure.
And, yeah.
Looks like we're going to get there like just in time with that sun setting. Well, then again, we're getting later in the year now, so we may get darkness for a little bit up here.
Well, the main issue we're going to get is once we get into those mountains, we won't have line of sight with the sun.
True.
And so that could be interesting, flying in the shadows,
Right.
as it were.
Where
Right,
is-
let's get that.
Oh, yeah,
098.
Oh, did you want that up?
No, because we're pretty much going to go visual. I got to go
Yeah.
around this this guy here.
So if you are just joining us, which I don't know how many people showed up, we have 4 currently in the stream. We are flying from Homer, Alaska to Quartz Creek. And this was a recreation of Mr. Aviation 101 and Angle of Attack. There you go, you can see it on the screen. A trip they recently did. So we're featuring here the Simcoders Reality Expansion Pack with the Prop Strike Studios Bush 172.
Right, the Bush kit for the 170.
Yeah, Bush kit.
And actually, here this is approximately.
Can we show this?
That's a good question.
I think we can if we link it. I think it's that common use or.
All right, Josh and Chris, if we are offending your sensibilities by flashing your video up there, our apologies.
Yeah, let us know. Email us.
We are in no way attempting to take credit for your work. We're just pointing out. We're actually inspired.
We're actually geeking out about it, and it's fantastic. So.
Like literally, I watched that
Can
video.
you open that and then click play on it for a little bit? Let it run for like 10 seconds or something?
Tell you what, as soon as I level us off,
yeah.
because we're descending pretty fast, then I think that would be fine. And we'll need to turn in a moment.
Right.
Have you ever heard the water in the stream and the mountains theory? How things move around?
There, you can see the
So
Ski-Lac
if you
Lake back behind them.
Stand on the shore
That's
of a
what we were
river
talking
and you
about.
look at the way the water is moving, you'll see it go over boulders and then dip down the other side, right? And then create this little eddy, and maybe it'll leave an upslope
There, that
against another rock and create
should
a
be
little
what he's
swirl.
looking at right here.
Oh, yeah.
Little
This is
pebbles
where
with
they're heading
a
in
little
the,
bit, a big boulder and some
video.
rapid.
All right, so anyway, go check out their video. We will include the link. It's certainly going to be better than our stream.
And that is, yeah, it is better. And it's part 3 of, I think they ended up doing 10 or 12 parts.
Unbelievable series.
Yep.
Every part of it I've already seen is worth watching. Hey, real quick question here. We have cabin lights, right? Which one?
Yeah, they're turn knobs. There's your radio lights and the panel, and then there's your glare
There we
shield.
go. I just brighten them all up a bit.
And for those of you who are watching and maybe are not content creators,
We got to get Austin out.
as we have produced these, we really understand the work that those two have done for their channel and what they do, because it's amazing.
The second day they're there, I think Josh and Chris are talking. He says something about, I was up till 4 a.m. editing my footage and this and that. And it's no joke, and it's part of why we're doing these streams every other week now. Because we just want to fly a little, guys. When we do those videos, you see, an hour of flying, but there was 10 hours of video work. And so just to keep our sanity, and burnout's a real thing, we didn't want to only be making tutorials and videos about this and that all the time. We got a little bit lower than I anticipated.
Yeah, we might want to swing out a little to the left, huh?
Well,
Maybe.
what I wanted to take a peek at, soon we're going to turn up here, but we'll be taking
okay.
this left. But I want to grab off to the right here a glimpse of this glacier, partially because that's what they did in theirs, and it's really neat to go see.
So where should it be popping through now? Past this?
Right. We're going to hook around this little ridge
Okay.
here, and then we'll see it, and then we turn back over this lake. Right? Where's that little lake?
Right there.
Yeah, see it in the center? This guy.
Oh, that?
Yeah, it was hard to see, but
Okay.
we're basically going to come back up.
So
And,
there's
whoop.
one,
Yeah, we can't see that yet. It's out of sight. The little bean-shaped one is the one there.
Gotcha.
Well, you know what? Bobble Austin really helps me to see my lag.
Well, it also helps you to see the angle of attack indicator.
It's just constant reminder.
I wish we could have like a couple stuffed cats or pound puppies, or what was those trolls? Remember the trolls that were popular?
Oh,
and then Russ,
yeah.
I think they're the Russ trolls. Put some of those up there. Well, we got clouds coming in, man, and I mean, they're just... Actually, it's not unlike a couple of the flights they had in their video. I think there were some wildfires up there. And
Oh, right, yeah,
there
the
was
smoke.
they were using the smoke to figure out which way the wind's blowing, which brings me to a story. I was in Oklahoma, 2 years ago, I think? 2 or 3 years ago?
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Go
Hopefully clicking this OK makes it go away.
It
And
usually does.
and yeah, when I was with I was up there for a training class, and 2 of the guys in my class were pilots, so we went up and flew in a 172. We're coming back to land, which was exciting, and the reason why we came back to land as soon as we did. But we were coming into land, and there was something burning off to the south of the airport, and that's how we figured out what runway was in use, because there was really I don't think we could get the ATIS.
Oh, okay.
So we weren't picking that up, and was not any aircraft like departing or taking off with us, so we had no idea. And there happened to be just this thing burning about 2 miles south. I don't know what it was, maybe a body, a car.
Sort of a smoking windsock, if you will.
And that's exactly what it was. Yeah. So we're like, okay, well, we'll land to the north.
You know, just for random conversation, one concerning thing with flying a single-engine aircraft is if you did have an engine out,
Can that go away?
you're not going to have too many options. Yeah, Lee is really getting annoyed by bobblehead Austin Myers up there.
I think it's a combination of everything.
Right. I don't know if it's Austin or the bad frame rate that's so darned irritating, but no, Austin's great guy. Without him, we would not have X-Plane. All right.
Yeah,
so,
and he has like 1 or 2 airplanes too, I think. I watched.
Yeah, I think he's created real aircraft using his X-Plane software to design.
Well, and he also there was I think it was the honeycomb yoke.
Mm-hmm.
There was a video in there, and I think it was in there where he was talking about it. But he actually created X-Plane in the late '80s, early '90s, because he had trouble. I think he said he had 2 or 3 check rides for, I think it was his instrument ticket, and he was having trouble passing them. So he created X-Plane in order to help him practice for his check ride.
Oh, wow.
So if it weren't actually for him getting his own license, X-Plane may not be around. Kind of interesting to think of.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, necessity is the mother of invention, they say. So.
Well, you know what's interesting? Okay, let's figure out how to turn this off now.
I didn't hear a disco. That's still sorry. If I put a
Yep,
screen
you're right.
print-
No, it's still on because it doesn't.
It's off
hold
now,
on.
right?
I just
Did
hit.
you have to bump trim?
I just bumped trim, which
Okay.
seems hitting trim functions as a good poor man's AP disconnect.
Which I think in the real plane you could do that too.
Right. Yeah, I do believe there should be a disconnect on the yoke at a and I have my trim is on the top of a joystick. What is this, a Thrustmaster we're using here?
It's a T1600 or something. If you care, it's in our. We try putting the stuff we use in our video descriptions.
Right, and you know, if you want to go click the Amazon links, we're not really trying to hawk this stuff or make sales. It's just we figured we'd point it out.
Everybody wonders what people like Flight Deck to Sim use, and I think he uses a $50 Wingman Pro 3D, the same as we've had.
So, Lee mentioned earlier that he came over the Kenai Glacier messing around one day, and in the Mr. Aviation 101 video that we've been referring to, they fly out here to see this, and the glacier is actually coming down to this lake,
Oh yeah, it is pretty well replicated, huh?
which would probably make this a freshwater lake. Actually, it's such a good scene. Can we just like find it?
Yeah, let's see if we can do that.
Because it looks.
Ah, there you go, there you
Check
go.
that out.
Yeah.
Well, you can turn whatever you want. If you want something for
Okay, so they're just now going in, and they're gonna fly a bit of that, but we're out.
We've kind of already started to complete what they're getting ready to do.
Right now, granted, they're. What do they have? 3 people on board?
I think they have 3, yeah.
They're 3 real people in a real aircraft in real Alaska, so they're going to probably be a little more conservative and certainly more experienced and sensible in their flying than we are, but we have less at stake at the moment than they do. But one thing I noticed, as you've been flying these mountains, have you felt any turbulence or any wind effect, or is it almost as though the mountains don't exist? So far as the wind effects in X-Plane.
I will be completely honest. I don't know that I have been close enough in proximity or in an aircraft where I would expect turbulence. You know? Yeah, so I can't even really make a judgment call on that. I mean, with that the wake turbulence, right, that was added in or is it in beta now? The new X-Plane.
Right, that's
11.4 or
one
whatever.
of the new features that's coming out is wake turbulence. Although alright, to get wake turbulence, you need a passing aircraft, right?
Sure.
So one of the things I need to go read is, will that be wake turbulence from X-plane AI aircraft only.
True.
Or, for example, I keep that pretty much off, and
we use live traffic.
I run live traffic. Now, if it'll do wake turbulence off live traffic, that could be very realistic. But it could also be super annoying if you're trying to use a high traffic airport. Like, let's say that you feel like
You're flying into JFK and someone cuts you off.
yeah, like you're in LaGuardia and all of a sudden somebody's transponder clicks on because if their transponder's not on, they're not on live traffic.
Right.
So it's not uncommon to see an aircraft land and you see them turn off and then all of a sudden they disappear. You very rarely see somebody taxi to the gate in live traffic, which means you could get aircraft populating at any time in the middle of... you could just get some interesting surprises would be my
Sure.
concern.
Could we do a map check real quick? Show
Yeah.
everybody where we're at.
Yep, so we came up here. This is Skilac Lake, I believe. We turned in. We turned back here to see. This is where the glacier came down from Kenai. Hold on, let me grab the sky vector. And now we have turned back north, and we're going to fly between the mountains
Right, okay.
up here.
Up here to Cooper's Landing.
Right. And I don't know who
All right.
Cooper is, but... and once we get up
There's
here,
DB.
we should... DB Cooper's Landing.
That's where he
Jumped
jumped
from
out.
Seattle, landed in Alaska.
Those jet streams, they'll
Epic.
get you.
Epic. So we're gonna go down the Kenai River here, and then it really spreads out into Kenai Lake.
We were babbling here, but we did have somebody pop into the chat from Ketty says, "Good evening, glad to catch y'all streaming. Props to the videos." And we appreciate that, Ketty. Appreciate the feedback.
Thank you much. I'm glad what a second person has joined us this evening.
No, I don't
You
know
got
if
a
this
few?
is I don't know if this is Gene or Jean, but they've been in here commenting a little bit too. Not sure if Creamers is still in here or not, but we got 5 people in right now.
All right. Well, for my 10 cents, I don't believe I've felt any effect of wind coming through. When we took off, winds were 070 at 5, and I've never noticed like I came out of a canyon and got a crosswind suddenly or anything along those lines.
You know, another way where you might be more, I guess, aware of those would be with that the free, but we have it, the Simcoders head shake plugin,
Oh, because it would
because you would kind of get that.
give you, because it would interact with
Yeah.
it. That's interesting. Now, I believe there is actually a feature that you can go outside and turn on some particle system browsing. This
Don't do it.
I'm not doing anything in stream, but there is a way, I think, to show the airflow
Yeah.
over the, or at least it used to be in the old X-plane. I've been with X-plane since I was in college in the early 2000s, and I bought a Power Mac, the laptop. And I was so excited. I had this brand new computer, and I went out wanting to buy Flight Simulator. Dun dun! No Flight Simulator for Mac users. And I was beside myself. So I played Rainbow Six for a number of weeks until I discovered that we had X-Plane for Apple. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then the rest was history. I never went back to Microsoft Flight Sim, although I'm not object to it.
Sure.
I always liked it back when I had a PC, but
The ATC system gets a lot less complaints in it.
I was hung out. Yeah. There's a reason you never see us using the in-game ATC in X-Plane.
But that's all right. If you have to really pick, you can't have everything. We can't have a highly detailed ortho-imaged globe with a top-notch
Right.
AI air traffic control with the realist world weather simulation.
Well, I think that's the thing. At the end of the day, you're asking Laminar to recreate the world, every function of it,
Right.
including real people, and air traffic control. who might vector you into a mountain if you actually listen to them in this game. So,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
yeah, be very cautious listening to their commands. That's one of the things I see all the time in the forum is somebody like, oh, ETC told me to do this and that, but I can't. Like, yeah, don't listen to them.
Yeah. Don't listen to them. Do a little bit of flight planning on your own, or use charts if you can.
We're getting close, by the way.
Sure. If you don't know how to or can't, we have some videos.
Yeah, we have
videos.
We have a GA video, which if you want to fly this little stuff, because the general aviation, I mean, look at this. Airliners should not be where we are doing what we're doing. So the flight planning is going to be completely different. You're not going to bring your Zebo in here, unless you're just being goofy like I was. I mentioned earlier in the stream, I brought an Ilyushin 76 in here. Mostly because I was just playing with it. Did I tell you I think I figured out how to turn it on?
What, the Ilyushin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this has been a peeve of mine. There's this free Ilyushin 76 on the forum, and everything on it is Russian. All of the writing, but it's well modeled, and things seem to work, and it's got doors and ladders and the cargo hatch and sounds. I mean, it's great. I'm just so enjoyable. But I want to do the cold and dark, and so I've been trying to figure out like what's what, and I finally had a breakthrough the other day. I watched a YouTube by some Russian guys, and it wasn't the exact one we have. It was probably a FSX one.
Okay.
But again, any well-rendered simulator
Should
be the same.
Yeah.
So I'm watching these guys and hitting pause and flicking switches in mine. I think I finally deduced what might be fuel pumps and what might be generators, and what's the real crux if you want to get it started is you got to find the APU. Until you get that high pressure bleed, nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
So yeah, I think I got it going, and so then once I had it started, I was like, well, I need to go somewhere. I was like, well, we're streaming tomorrow.
And there you go.
These Russian aircraft are built for rugged environments, and I thought, well,
I think
Alaska,
unprepared.
Alaska used to be part of Russia. Come on, it was we bought it for like $1 million, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, true story.
I'm
Go
a little
look it up.
rusty on that.
We bought Alaska from I think the Tsar for like $1 million in maybe the 1800s or something, late 1800s.
So it was like a territory or something before it became a state.
That was like the deal of this of the millennium right there. Which is funny. I think last stream we were talking about buying Greenland. Today
we were. How did
we're
we
going to talk about buying Alaska.
Or if you want to learn more, go look.
You know, I think it's like Monopoly, guys. The name of the game is if you have land, don't sell it.
It's true, and it generally goes up in value.
You're always going to regret it. Land's a good investment.
Hey, is that our green-white there for our airport? Our beacon?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So do tell us, what are you seeing out here?
Seeing a green-white beacon.
This one?
I don't know. I saw one somewhere.
Well, it's interesting because we got something down here on the water. Is that just stoplights?
Is that a railroad track?
Hold on, let me make sure we're not crashing the plane.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Aviate,
this is definitely
navigate, communicate.
This is definitely the runway. I see the sock. Whoa,
Yeah.
nausea.
I was trying to level us off there.
You're just making us a yaw, I think.
Okay.
There's the other end of the runway with another
Okay, well,
windsock.
disregard.
But no, we do have lights.
It would kind of make sense because I think green-white is a like lighted, towered airport. If you actually care, you can go look it up. Like, I think green, white is a military.
I think it's actually in my VFR video, but I'm going to admit to having slightly forgotten. Okay, so we need to brief our approach here. We're going to come down. Let's just trace it with the mouse. I want to overfly kind of the threshold. I'm going to go out over the lake, kind of do a
right turn around.
A right turn, come back. Hopefully the lag monster will go away by then. And it looks like, as much as it was looking all dewy and stuff earlier, it's kind of cleared out. I'm going to pause this for about 3 seconds. Sometimes that clears whatever the computer's thinking about. Or not.
Well, something's centered up here.
Yeah, I just noticed that needle deflecting, which is interesting because down in these mountains, I'm not really certain we should even be able to receive. Oh, wow.
Keddy, actually, it's funny. FlyJ Sim, those guys were asking us if we had Discord. We told them no. I have set a Discord account up for us, but quite honestly, I have no idea how to use it. So it's on the phone, but that's about as far as I've gotten with it. But as far as any other apps, no, we're not on any of that. We are on, I'll get my phone out and look. We have the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're pretty active in the X-Plane Facebook group, the X-Plane Addicts. We monitor the Zebo, Bush Pilots, and I think I recently signed us up for a GA.
Right, I saw that.
Something. So.
And yeah, you know, if you toss out a question, we'll try and answer it. More often than not, I'm going to phrase this carefully, not because I don't want to offend people, but because it's really what I mean. When somebody asks a question, sometimes you can tell from their question that, you know, they think they don't know thing A, but you can tell that if they didn't know, if they're asking that question, they actually don't know A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And they will discover that as they're seeking their answer for thing A, they're aware that they don't know. So if we answer your question by kicking you a video, that's why, because the video will have, you know, the full procedures, including the thing you asked about, and 5 other things that you would have asked about an hour later when you realized you also needed to know those. Alright, so I'm going to try and hold us at about 75.
Yeah, you...
I just did 1 notch of flaps.
Okay.
Those power lines pretty much lead you in, so that's kind of not a bad visual.
So you're going to wait till turn final for the last notch?
Yeah. Let me kick in 1 more now.
Alright. 80 decreasing.
Go ahead and bring up power. And we are, yeah, it's just slow and fast. We are rich, right? Can you hold down that,
the top one?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we're on Twitter still at FlightFT. We kind of keep forgetting to incorporate these into some of our videos. Instagram is FlightFT 2019. Of course, Flight Brothers FT on YouTube, if that's how you've found us. And Facebook, we're the Flight Brothers on there. Flight Brothers FT on there as well.
I am going to do what X-Planers so rarely do and go around.
Yeah, you're high, aren't you?
We are seriously high and fast. So let's throttle up. And start to bring flaps back. And what do you think? Come up here and we'll take a left.
Yeah, or you can kind of dogleg out and then turn around and loop back.
Alright.
Give you a little more, open up the radius a little bit.
And then I think we'll go back out over the lake again and pretty much repeat the pattern we just flew. I've been trying to take it easy on these mouse camera changes because I know it looks like trash on the stream. Alright, so we're full throttle, full rich.
Casey, I think hopefully I added you there.
What are we doing? Adding Twitter or Facebook?
Facebook.
Alright.
Can you guys do a video about using Smart Copilot?
You know, we have done it.
Twice.
What, you know what? I guess the question would be, what do you want to see? How to install it? How to make it work?
Because functionally, once you get it installed, you just, especially with the Zebo people, you've got to have the same Zebo, model or whatever, right? You got to have the file, the Smart Copilot file. If you're both using follow runway, what is it, topography or whatever,
Right.
like you all have to, both of you have to use the same thing. Otherwise, there's going to be differences.
And we did have some glitchiness. Like, the time I remember us doing it was with the Flight Factor 757. And it ran like dream. It was so much fun. And actually, it was way more convenient than this. Of course, we both had one less child in our house at that point, so we had a little more time to play with. But the thing I remember being aggravating, and it was just a little glitch, and it was only on my machine. I think Lee's machine was master and mine was slave. I think that's how those smart copilots work. One of them is going to be the primary, and the other one is
an
pulling
alternate or something.
Yeah, so mine was basically receiving all of the data from Lee's, and while mine would send commands if I'm like flying or running the overhead, functionally all the data is coming from his machine. So what I remember being weird is in my machine, for some reason, the Boeing yoke, which is on that upright post coming from between your legs, was shaking like a jackhammer, and it was literally making sound. Like I put my system on mute because it was super irritating. Oh, my angle of attack is kicking in.
Oh, yep.
All right, do you know how to interpret that gauge?
Yeah, green's good. Once it starts turning yellow, you're getting kind of critical, and then red, these are going to point the kind of chevrons. I believe they're red, and you'll want to come nose down when you start getting there, so you're getting into that critical angle of attack.
All right, well, I'm at my second notch of flaps.
Which you could probably actually reduce speed and bring it back till you start getting an indication.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. This time I'm going to fly the whole way up until the power lines. And I'm going to try and maintain... Oh, we're getting too slow. There we go. Try not to yank the power too much. So there we go. 75. How are we looking out there? Last time I turned too soon. It was too high and too fast and too everything. Alright, so we'll go for...
And while Tim's trying to land this, we'll stick around for a little bit after we get down here, in case anybody wants to talk, chit chat, ask questions. And we kind of did it with the FlyJ 727, and I think we had a couple of people hung around for a little bit, so we'll kind of do that. And
because we like talking, if you hadn't noticed.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed, we have a 50-minute flight that took us a half hour just to get started.
All right, we've cleared the trees. Oh, and you know what we need to do?
Land the plane.
Replay.
Hold on, don't multitask.
Sterile cockpit.
Sterile cockpit. All right.
I'm actually all left brake and a little bit of rudder, which is interesting. I
Really?
wasn't giving any right brake there, yeah.
Huh. So where are you going to park?
Right up there, that windsock, because I feel a little lazy turning around. Okay, we're going to
Lean a little bit.
lean it and try and get her moving.
Well, we didn't die on approach there. We had to go around.
And I actually went around. Be amazed. You know, if you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, I've been doing Meme Mondays, and I did a sim pilots go around. Ain't nobody got time for that. And I'm convinced that most of my bad habits are actually pretty universal in the sim community.
I think so.
And there's Lee's gonna second that. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm stereotypical of the typical goobery sim pilot, lazy and inept and foolish. And I definitely have landed quite a few aircraft that should have gone around.
Well, I did that, the SSG 748 video, right, when I was recording that. And I did the go around on there, which was not the correct procedure at all. The airplane, stayed in the air, came back, circled around, landed. But that put the exclamation point on the fact that I don't properly do go arounds. And And like you said, I don't think a majority of us, if we're completely honest, I don't think all of us go around when we should.
Well,
but we're not going to admit that
how would I put it? You probably won't do... Oh, look at that. Look at that sunset. You probably won't do something you haven't planned for. And so I think that's really where you get caught with your pants down, so to speak, is here you are in bad weather or whatever, and you're too high and too fast and or not aligned with the center line. No. And you realize, I should go around. And then you think, is there terrain? And then you're thinking,
sure.
How do we do this?
Well, I think that's called getting behind the airplane, right? Because,
Right.
I mean, theoretically, once you roll into, like, final, if you're on an ILS, you hit an approach mode if you're in a big jet. So you hit approach mode, it captures. Right then, you would set your go-around altitude and all that stuff. Because your go-around procedure is already loaded in your FMC based on the approach.
Right.
So you would bug all that, and then in the Zebo, you hear it's like whatever missed approach altitude set, blah blah blah. Even audio it happens, but functionally it doesn't happen.
Well, and so every approach chart has the go around listed on it. There's even that little mini. It's scripted, and there's even like a little mini diagram, like.
Yeah.
Climbing right hand turn to 5,000 out to waypoint, yada yada for a hold.
Yeah, and then hold.
And I mean, it's that important that it actually gets its own little mini chart within the chart, because
Sure.
it's going to happen. So if you don't fly your flights with that in mind, then yeah, you're just going to plunk it down and smash it into the runway because whatever, it's X-plane. I guess one of the reasons we always get concerned with developing those bad habits is we do intend to go into the real world and do some flying, and we don't want to take any rotten sim lazy habits out into an environment where those things can get you killed.
Sure. Hey, while you're shutting down, I've got a couple of questions popping in here.
Yeah, I love questions, especially because you're going to be the one answering them.
You're right. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so Creamer says he needs to learn RNAV landings. Have we done any flights in the 172 with the G1000? I need to practice that with the newer Garmin. We have not. The closest thing I'd have to that, Creamer's is...
Oops.
Did you do something out of order?
I fried our avionics.
That's all right. You don't have economy on, so you don't have to pay for it.
This is why I don't use the economy.
There you go. Fair enough. But yeah, Creamer's the... Was it the flight planning one? It was one of them I did with... It was with the Cirrus, not the 172. But with the Cirrus, and I went over some of the G1000 stuff. So some of the other airplanes, they have the G1000. So most of the time when I do the 172, I don't do the glass version. I use the steam gauges just to stay proficient with them. So no, that's a long answer to no. We don't have a 172 G1000 video.
But it is the same device, regardless of the aircraft you put it in.
Yeah, correct.
So all the functions on our Cirrus video will function the same. It's just instead of a single jet, you've got a single reciprocating engine.
Right, and he goes on to say sometimes you arrive at an airport with an ILS runway, or that doesn't have an ILS.
Oh, right.
But an RNAV. And yeah, there's a couple reasons for that if you care. RNAVs are pretty much just, they're a space in the sky, right? So they're all GPS coordinates with vertical guidance. So you can put one of those in theory anywhere.
The door was not open in flights, guys. We're in replay mode, and I had opened the door before hitting replay. That's just sorry, but I just wanted to see how good or bad my landing was, and or these trees. So do we answer that question? I'm sorry I interrupted with my door opening.
Yeah, so the RNAV one, since they're plots in space, you can pretty much put them, or points in space, you can pretty much put one anywhere, whereas an actual ILS, to put on an airport, you need a lot of factors. You need, space, the infrastructure, the money, they're $200,000-$300,000, per part of the system, and you need a localizer and a glide slope.
Not to mention the very high-end technical experts who maintain these devices.
That's true. You might need
You need a
people to...
small army of them, day and night.
Right.
Especially on holidays and government shutdowns. These
And-
people are highly critical.
Yeah, and some nights are longer than others. So, yeah, hopefully that answers your question on that. If not, continue to fire away here. The Cirrus one, I did 4 parts to that. One of them was the general aviation flight planning. One was a cold and dark Cirrus, or sorry, G1000. No, the Cirrus startup. There was another one, I think it was the G1000 flight plan entry. So that one might be the one you want to look at. I think it's about the 3rd one if you look from our oldest to newest on there. So hopefully that'll help you out.
I'm impressed at how
No,
almost
you did those
identically
consistent.
I repeated my track.
Oh yeah, you did those very consistent.
And this is where I cut the corner the first time, and that's part of what screwed me up.
But also, one more point on the RNAV is going back to them again being data points. They should indicate, I believe, almost identically as an ILS. So I think through the computer, the GPS, and guidance, they create almost a fictitious but real representation of your localizer center line and glide slope. So it uses functionally the same indicators, if I remember correctly. Sorry. Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded for you there, Creamers.
So he's flying glass cockpit Cessnas. That's
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
in sim or real life or both.
Nah, well, I don't know. It doesn't specify.
By the way,
I mean, functionally, it should be sort of the same, right?
I ran the time back. If you didn't know this, guys, you can use Shift L to advance time and Shift K to run the time backwards, which, you know, I wanted there to be some light so that the tail end of this video... This is actually what I thought landing would look like, but we talked so long at Homer before we left.
Right.
That happened when we were only halfway here.
Yeah, I'm going to follow on Creamer's got another
Do
one
it. I'm
here.
going to unplug the battery.
Yeah, so he's talking about RNAV needing a back course setting and an ILS frequency. No, RNAV is completely... RNAV is area navigation. So it's GPS waypoints, you know, so it's your typical 5-digit identifiers that you see, Maxo or, you know, bugs or something like that. Typically, you can spell them out or say them. They're pronounceable. So your RNAV waypoints are just a point on a map, and then you have a vertical path profile with them. So if you look at an RNAV chart, it looks like an ILS chart. But the difference is that you do not have an ILS frequency to dial up because there is no ground transmitter sending that information up to you.
Here, let's grab a
chart.
Let's grab a chart.
So while Tim's grabbing the chart and the back course, I'm not sure what you're meaning by back course. Some localizer antennas, I think they're V-ring antennas actually in the technical world. But the V-ring antennas will emit a back course. Most localizer antennas are extremely directional, so they'll only work. They should fire most of their energy to the approach end, so there isn't a back course procedure. You'd have to have the appropriate antennas to do that, and it would have to be flight checked for us in the United States by the FAA as a back course approach. So hopefully that doesn't make your eyes glaze over there with that info, but I believe it to be fairly accurate.
So can I because I'm halfway listening and thinking.
Sure, you're multitasking. So do you have an RNAV there?
So right now this is the ILS chart for runway 15
Okay.
at Anchorage. And then I'll pull up the RNAV chart for the same runway.
A lot of the RNAVs are built over top almost of the ILSs.
Yeah, they pretty much duplicate it, but I'm just going to restate in my own words because Lee is the one that has some ground school and I do not. And so let me just bumble and see if I make sense here.
Go ahead, and then I'll follow up with him after you.
All right, so here's the ILS chart, which means there is a ground-based fixed radio transmission coming out, basically giving us the localizer, which is what is visually represented here as this little triangle. Looks like the back end of an arrow. And so within that beam, you would get needle deflection to keep you on it. But it is really your radio's picking up that signal for the localizer. The glide slope is a separate beam represented down here by this one. And outside of that envelope, your needle's fully deflected and it's not really useful. And you got to go around anyway. But the point is, there is an actual radio source on the ground sending both of those out. Whereas your RNAV, nothing exists except for a theoretical point in your GPS. And as long as your GPS can grab it, CARD, CANSI, these points are programmed in, and that's why your air rack cycle is relevant.
Sure.
But that actually relates to an exact point in space. So rather than giving you the latitude and longitude that would take an hour to program in, you've got these nice little brief things that go with the air rack cycle. It just matches it.
And then if we go up here like Ivan on this one, it's an IAF. There should be another one up here as well. So that's an initial approach fix. So if you're on approach and you get, what is this, cleared RNAV runway 15, Ivan, or was it Tager, or the Big Lake VOR, hey, we use that on our other departure.
All right, yeah.
So those would be your initial approach fix. Then CARD is your intermediate fix. So that's a point, obviously, between the initial and what would be your was it FAF, final approach fix. So if you look down, I think that should be displayed on the vertical profile.
And you notice you don't get that triangular spread here because you're not coming in on a localizer. You're literally flying theoretical
lines in
GPS
space
coordinates with no ground reference. And this is why auto land is a little BS sometimes when people are doing it. And you see our glide slope here is dotted this time. It's not a wasn't it solid on the other one?
Yeah. Well, it has kind of that arrow appearance.
Right, because this is actually being transmitted to you, whereas this one is showing you the envelope you need to be within, but you're getting this data from satellites, not a ground-based source. And so the satellite's not as reliable, basically.
Well, the satellite, I mean, satellites, they're kind of passive, right? They're like a transmitter. They're just putting stuff out. But your GPS receiver in the aircraft, or receivers, have to be of a certain fidelity to where, if you have 3 satellites or 7 satellites, if you're picking up 7 satellites, your signal is going to be more precise. So if you start losing satellites through weather, storms, anything like that, even though they're vertical and in space, it still affects anything between you. So as you lose fidelity of those, you may go outside of what you would be allowed to do an RNAV approach, and then there you would have to go back to an ILS approach if you have it, or do a diversion.
So what, you need 3 satellites to fix your position?
Well, in theory.
And I think 4 to get altitude.
Yeah, something like that.
And then everything above that basically helps to close in and further. It would be tolerances, basically. It would reduce the tolerance down to a much finer point.
Provided the receiver is robust enough. You couldn't use probably the Garmin on your watch or your cell phone GPS to land an airplane.
So you're not gonna plug your A380 into your iPhone and navigate down to the ground. But that's why back course doesn't exist here, because there's no back course. Would be flying the opposite of this ILS, right? So like this is runway 15. If you're coming up on a reciprocal heading, that would be the back course. But there's nothing transmitted here, so there is no back course.
Right.
Is that what he was asking?
Yeah, well, I think part of it. But I mean, only certain antennas
Transmit a back course.
will create a back course. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Because they are extremely directional. Because at a lot of airports, you may have the same frequency on opposing ends of the runway. I think we had a Facebook comment that I dropped something in, and so you can't shoot one localizer into the other localizer if they're the same frequency.
So one's
because
on
you
at
have,
a time, right?
Right. Yeah. So one's on at a time. So you have to have one down, one up, and then again the back course being a separate issue. If I can touch back on there, so he says they should have learned RNAV aspect of landing rather than relying on the ease of ILS. Well, to be honest, they're functionally the same, and I think that's why you don't see ILSs going away. There are more RNAV approaches. I don't know if you're located in the United States or not, or if you've told us. I can't remember. But, there's more RNAV or GPS approaches than any other approach now. I think they passed that a few years ago. But an ILS is on the ground. If anything goes out in space, then you still have an ILS. You have something on the ground. Same with VORs. VORs in a way are very archaic for navigation because almost everyone has GPS. But I don't know that they're going to go completely away.
Well, we did have that outage. That was military testing of interference.
Yeah.
But what some of the regionals grounded, was it ERJs or Bombardiers? There was one specific type that
there were NOTAMs. There were NOTAMs for the different areas.
But I think there was one whole type of aircraft that very specifically could not handle what was going on and got grounded until it was done.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I remember reading it, but as long as you have those RNAV waypoints. Yeah, creamers. I mean, you don't. It would be just like. The one thing you'll have to watch on the RNAV approach is I think you'll have to bring the altitude down, whereas on an ILS approach you can hit it into an approach or ILS VOR-LOC mode or something like that. So provided your altitude bug isn't set and will allow the complete descent, I believe it will continue to come down. And if you look on the bottom of the charts, I think RNAVs, your Cat 1 ILS is normally about a 200-foot decision height, but your RNAVs I think vary, but I believe are at best 200 feet, and I think in some cases in the 500 to 600 feet. I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah, VNAV would be vertical navigation, LNAV's lateral navigation. And RNAV is area navigation, which is completely different because it's, as we've mentioned, it's geographic points or latitude, longitude points. It's actually a pretty good, this has turned into a pretty good conversation, I guess, for anyone who wanted to stick out and...
Right, and we're still finding our flow with these streams. They're kind of new, so if you if you want to get on here and chat with us and not wait for one of us to look at our phone and answer your comment on a video, these streams are probably going to be on every other Sunday, just like we've been doing, and it's a great time to ask us questions. And you can we tie down to the grass?
Sure, yeah, just dig it in.
And it's pretty much going to be Lee answering because he has far more formal knowledge. And I'm enjoying it because I'm learning stuff too.
No, not flooding questions at all, man. It's hopefully that makes sense to you. If there's an area you need a little more info on, or I wasn't clear on, let me know. I don't try to, I guess, discuss my day job, but it is in this industry, and I'm fairly confident in the information that I'm giving you. So, if you have any more questions, fire away. If it's about some of the airplanes or navigation stuff, weather stuff. I mean, there's a lot that goes into aviation that people don't realize. Tim was, I think, kind of talking a little bit about it earlier.
Right. You don't know what you don't know. And, yeah, and I think that's really the benefit in spending time with other simmers and just the sim community, and as well as the real aviation community. But you know, that's where you're going to learn and see new things. So, do we have some more questions, or I'm kind of torn on things to show. Actually, I wonder if I put it in replay mode now, is it going to be flying with tie downs on?
I don't think it does, actually.
You're right, but the door stays open. Isn't that weird?
Starting to actually learn the dynamics. Yeah, us as well. I mean, I guess if you want to go into a little history, Tim and I have both been flying flight sim for
since the 90s.
Yeah, so what, going on
over 20 years?
Yeah, 20-ish years each.
Oh my goodness. I never thought of it in those terms.
Yeah, I know, it makes us sound really old. Watching the kids grow doesn't help. My stepfather, he used to be a power pilot, but when my mom and him got together, I spent weekends with them, and we would often go soaring. So I've flown in Schweitzer 232 gliders. The Grobe G103 was the Cadillac. And you want to talk about a different way of flying. Flying a glider is a completely different experience. So I had that, in my youth time, I guess. And then I was fortunate enough at my high school we had an aviation section, so a vocational area. So I actually I had sufficient ground school to take me up to actually go take the written test. And then due to, I guess, priorities of a 17, 18-year-old, I made other choices and didn't end up going there and following through with that passion. However, that led me on to, not long after that, a career in the aviation industry, which I've made a slight career change, but we're still in the same course, if that makes sense. So, and Tim as well, you and I both have, we've had friends, or we occasionally go to a flight school and go, hey, take us up for a flight, right?
Yeah, I went and did a discovery flight out here, and I certainly will bum a flight with any competent pilot with an airplane and the willingness to take me along. Actually, speaking of which, we might get some cool content about around this time next month. I've got a friend, one of those practically family type friends, who is working on his commercial rating, and he needs to log a whole truckload of cross country, and he's going to be doing it while I'm visiting. So I have signed up as a passenger extraordinaire, and
I'm extremely envious.
I'm just tickled beyond belief.
So hopefully we'll get a chance to use the GoPro. We actually bought a GoPro and some mounts because we were envisioning on this potential us earning our licenses and cataloging it and sharing it with you guys through this channel.
Right.
So, we're shooting high.
Yeah, we just have so many angles to go with this. Maybe we should talk about that for a second. We're approaching the big 1,000 subscriber point on the YouTube here, which I don't know. It's
if you've
got
a couple million subscribers, it's nothing. But to us, it's a huge
we've only been going since January, and we've probably mentioned this a few times before. But we started real small. It started with Lee coming to me saying, after our virtual airline shutdown,
I've got an idea.
He said, we should start a YouTube channel, and I smiled and told him something polite, but I was thinking that's a stupid idea. That'll never work. And then he made some videos, and I made a little bit of content, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of fun, and it just went from there. And I think we both realized that there's so much to do in the sim community. It's just nice to give back. I mean, I remember when I first got X-Plane 11, I hadn't had a functional flight simulator for about 6 years, and we were just getting back into it, and
We still have 4 people here.
it was just so... Wow, hey guys.
People are listening to us just
I'm glad
talk.
you're hanging out with us.
Yeah, well, welcome to the radio show. It's
You
Flight
know,
Blue.
you know why we got to stay here, because as soon as we sign off,
The-
we have to help deal with the children.
That's
and
true.
So it'll be bittersweet when we sign off today and resume our daddy duties.
Yeah, daddy duty.
So we're going to stay here as sim pilots as long as possible. But I remember firing up X-Plane 11, and it was so much more realistic than X-Plane 6 or 7 or whatever archaic X-Plane I was using. And then I got in, and I was looking for a manual.
I think that was at the Sim Pilot Kid comment.
And I found out the manual I needed was actually the manual for the real 737, and I was like, wow, this is a whole new ball game. This is very different.
The AvGeek meter pegged, which is it's sitting over on a bookshelf.
Right, and so I've got that big Delta manual, and I have, can you grab that second binder down
one?
there?
This one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this pops up in was it Captain Mike something?
Right, and this is a good reference if you're a Zebo guy. What's it? Yeah,
Mike Ray.
Captain Mike Ray's. He was a United Airlines pilot. He's got a 737 NG training syllabus, and man, it's really a very good, comprehensive.
I'm just changing views randomly because I don't know how people feel about staring at
Yeah.
a plane and the.
Just see things that it move.
What,
Go slower.
What camera do you guys like?
in
How about
stream.
that one?
We'll just sit here on rotate.
Oh, there you go. Can we get a sandbag and just drop it on there? Hey, so while you're doing that, Ketty asks, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And if hopefully we friended you, man, and if you're in the Bahamas, we send our heartfelt.
Oh yeah, good luck. Good luck with that.
Luck and everything that we can. We know that hurricane really did some damage down there, and our thoughts and prayers are with you guys out there as you recover. But are you thinking about joining a VA? To be quite honest, we really enjoyed the VA. We did it, we both had different durations of doing it at different times. But to be honest, with the production and the work that we put into these videos, there is no way we can really have a structured VA and do what we're doing. This, I don't think a lot of people realize how much time and effort goes into the videos, because I mean, you get an idea, and then depending on the idea, you have to do, maybe if it's a new airplane, research, because we don't want to sound like babbling buffoons when we get on here. So we do our own research ahead of the airplane or the scenery or the trip. We might be able to fly it once before we do recording. Then once it's done and recorded, it varies, but I've spent as much as 45 minutes on about 2 or 3 minutes worth of intro video. So if you scale that up, it's very easy to spend 8 to 10 hours on anywhere from a 30-minute to an hour video, depending on what you're doing. So
yeah, we just don't have the time.
Yeah, we don't have the time.
But I mean, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. That's why I racked up 200 or 300 Zebo hours. And in its own way, kind of like the Simcoders economy, anything you can do to gamify it in a realistic way inspires and forces you to treat the aircraft a little more realistically. And so for the virtual airline, we had an ACAR system that monitored your landings, so you had to have a landing rate that wouldn't have broken the aircraft, and you had to file the routes, and they had to be valid, and you had to take off within a certain time frame. You couldn't be too late, you couldn't be too early, and it was, as much as it seems like paperwork, busy work, it was really made you think about the whole process. And I mean, once we started flying the VA, when I flew commercially, you get on the plane and you're just buckling up and trying to figure out how you're going to wrestle that armrest away from the person in the center. And I started realizing just how busy they are up front in the cockpit. And I'm thinking about all those preparations, and they're they're filing and they're getting the clearance or pushback and everything. And actually, every once in a while, you'll get a gem where something happens. Like I was in a 737 800, the NG, and we were flying Phoenix to Chicago, and we were just about to push. Everything's going like normal. I was comfy. I think I got my armrest. And all of a sudden, I heard a sound, and it was exactly like it was in the sim. Boom! And the lights went out, and the emergency lights came on, and I was in the cheap seats near the back, so the flight attendants were at their galley, and I hear one of them say to the other one, so are we supposed to evacuate? And a moment later, the pilot came on to apologize that he had them disconnect the ground power before they got the APU on bus. Which is something, if you've been puttering around with the Zebo, I'm sure you've accidentally done that before.
I think I did it in my China Airlines flight, one of the early ones.
And it's a real pain in the butt because you get the added bonus of not only do you look like a moron, but now you get to reprogram the entire FMC. And under the gun of, like, you were ready to push. So you're now, like, late as you're trying to madly poke in everything.
With 160 people who are extremely happy.
Yeah, I got a kick out of it because I was like, wow. Like, even the power down
the sim is so real.
I was like, man, I got a kick out of that. It just cracked me up. So, yeah, you just really appreciate what they're doing and how much... Although, I guess that said, there's one thing I don't appreciate. When you're flying commercial in bad weather, and you're looking out the window and can't see Jack, you can probably be pretty sure up front they don't see a whole lot else either. And they're just watching, like, the ILS and everything. It's just a little bit sobering to realize, sometimes ignorance is bliss. I mean, not if you're, I guess, afraid of flying. It's not great to not know. But you don't always really want to know how much of a challenge they might be landing with that day if it looks quite windy and bumpy and crosswindy and all that other gobbledygook outside.
Hey, so just to drop in here, I mean, we still got 3 people in here. Looks like Keddy and Creamers is still in here, I'm guessing, hanging out.
All right, talk to us, gentlemen. Otherwise, we're off to baby duty soon.
Yeah, we're at 2:26 total stream time. So I'd say we'd probably wrap it up around 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Oh, here's one for you, gentlemen. A question for you. I believe we've been discussing future streams as possibly busting out the ERJ. We haven't taken that for a spin in a while. I'm itching to do it. Mm-hmm. It's a fun aircraft, and it really lends itself to having 2 people because it's not an auto throttle.
Yeah.
Now there is the cheater fake hidden auto throttle, but I don't like to do that if I can avoid it. Also, the Kolimata Concorde has an update for Cold and Dark. Now, that might lend itself better to a video.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a video, I'd imagine.
But,
we could still do it as a video with both of us.
I'm kind of torn because we could just stream it. Now, I promise you, we will not just sit down and be like, hey guys, we just opened the box on our new update, and we won't torture you with that. We will do it ourselves first. But we could go and stream and walk you through it. The main thing is if we do it as a video, I'm going to give you all the little text bubbles and everything. And I hope you like going at that speed. It seems to be pretty well received, but it goes pretty slow. But yeah, let us know what you'd like to see. We're probably going to bounce back and forth between heavy metal and general aviation. Ooh.
Hey, yeah, Creamers, what are you talking about there on the Q400? That is a fast plane, and it slows down pretty quickly. Actually, like throwing an anchor out. I don't know if you ever watched the video I did on that. Flew into, was it Toronto City?
Right. It had a funny name. I'm trying to remember the name.
Billy Bishop.
I think it was
Billy Bishop. Yeah, I've got one video up there, and to be honest, that is an airplane that I enjoy flying, even though it's an X-Plane 10 aircraft. But I do enjoy flying it, and I would like to do it more. The ERJ is another one of those, though, the X-Crafts. But yeah, one of the people actually that commented on that video, because I got a hot start on it, and I thought that was an issue, but there was somebody that commented on there that said that is an issue with that aircraft. You'll always get a hot start, and I did not think to ask FlyJSim when they were with us on our stream 2 weeks ago. I should have asked it.
They might have said, "Who cares? Just buy the new one. That thing's legacy software."
Well, that's probably gonna start. I always need tons of time even to start the engines. Yeah, take a look if you haven't. I've got that video. It's an older video, so in my own opinion, I don't think it's as polished. But it will always hot start. There's something, if I remember right, there's something with the bleed air switch. Like, it doesn't function the way like the Boeings do and what you see on the bleed air indications. So something on that's a little different. It will always hot start. And there is a button, I think it's up on the glare shield, or it might be a knob where you click and hold, and then that's how you get between the GPS nav, nav 1 and nav 2. There's something in there that I've actually had a struggle with that I think I time lapse cut through it in there. Have you guys done a video on the ERJ and the bugs they have to it? To be quite honest, we got that aircraft at launch, and
Yeah, I don't remember finding any bugs.
yeah, well, I had one, and I can't remember what it was. It was something on takeoff or whatever, but it was fixed in like 1.01 or
really?
1.1 or something. It was some little quirk, but I think it was self-induced because I think I did 3 or 4 flights. Remember the launch weekend, right? It was around the end of May.
Okay.
Because you did the overview or first look.
That was a busy time.
Yeah, May was busy with the Concorde and with the ERJ. But yeah, and to be quite honest, I don't think we'll necessarily do. If we find things in the aircraft, we're not going to hammer people because we've worked a little bit with some of the developers, and to be quite honest, if we can be part of the solution to anything that's identified, we'd much rather do that because that gets a better product out to us and to you, and kind of going out there and put them on blast doesn't really help, and people put a lot of effort into this stuff.
Yeah, more often than not, the bugs are extremely minor, and they're usually things you can work around. And it could just be my style. I have some...
Fast and loose?
Hell yeah. And I have some aircraft in here that are like embarrassingly low fidelity, and I'm actually considering doing a video on like sort of my guilty pleasure aircraft. I threw out just a quick little short somewhere in the last week of the free Fokker F50, and man, it is low fidelity, but it is fun. I had such a good time screwing around. I actually did this run. If you go watch it, I flew it up here, dropped it into Quartz Creek, and then I took it down to Seward, and I had fun every minute of the way. And it might just be my personality. I like the planes. I don't care. Like, once I get over the fact, hey, the cockpit panel looks like someone designed it in Microsoft Paint. Okay. Does it fly? Check. We're good. Let's go. That's just kind of how I roll with it. So yeah, you're probably not likely, if you want to hear somebody do a good epic roasting of an aircraft, we're not going to be the ones doing it because that's just not our style.
Yeah, very true. And if you're just joining the stream, we have completed the purpose of the stream.
Yeah, we're here, kids. This is Seward. Yeah. Or no, this is not Seward.
No.
We could have been
Navigation
in Seward by
error.
now.
Yeah, we could have flown to Seward. You've brought the sun back up. That's how long we've been talking.
Do they need us? We could go back to Seward.
I don't know. Not yet. I don't think that would work. You have work tomorrow.
Oh,
sorry. Didn't want to remind you. But yeah, if you're just joining us, we have completed the flight, and we're just hanging out. There's been some good discussion with a couple of our viewers here. So yeah, there you go, Quartz Creek. Thanks. Somebody knows where we're at. Smart Cocker.
Thank you. Here, I'm going to put up the map for anyone who's confused as to where we are, because
we're here. Keddy, on the ERJ, going up and down, are you talking about at cruise altitude? I've seen a little bit of pitch oscillations. Usually, if you climb too quick to cruise altitude, the airplane kind of tries to go up there. As far as is that the Saab 340? We don't have that, so
no, that
I
would be
no
a fun
idea.
one. That would be fun. Because I've actually ridden in that one. I guess I've been in the Q400 a couple times too.
Can I send y'all my setup of what I use to fly? You talking about your flight deck cockpit setup there, Ketty? Yeah, I mean, you can post it on our our Facebook page or whatever,
yeah, please
man.
do, because we've got a growing subscriber base, and as with any of the flight sim communities, the more people who contribute, the more interesting it gets.
Sure.
So let us know. Put it up there. See what you get.
Yeah, we're doing this just for fun and to share what limited knowledge we have with other people, but very often the community and those groups are really what make or break it. So
Right.
few of us have the luxury Tim and I do of sitting next to someone who geeks out equally in the same hobby.
Well, that's why everybody asks if it's shared cockpit, because like nobody else has this situation where they actually have a friend who is equally invested in X-Plane.
Oh, yeah, Smart Cocker. We are not join FS right now. We are actually sitting next to each other.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, right. He had mentioned it, and I watched your video. Who is this?
Smart Cocker?
Smart Cocker. That's a fun screen name. And so when I watched Join FS, it looked like you and a friend were flying separate Cessna 172s, if that's correct.
I think it's like an IP, like it syncs them up through IP or something.
So it's multiplayer, but not
Correct.
not like Smart Cockpit where you fly the same aircraft.
You're in the same world.
But you're in the same world. And,
like VATSIM without the air traffic.
Right, and we had done that in VATSIM before. We'll get on VATSIM and find a part of the world where nobody is, and then we'll go fly there together.
Paintball screen name, fantastic.
So, the bummer when we did it in VATSIM, I have a screenshot somewhere. We both were flying 757s. Or no, I was in a Zebo and you were in a 757.
I was in Russia, right? Were we over in Russia for that one?
Oh, was that when you kept opening the door and it crashed in the plane?
No, I had that depressurization.
Was that in
cruise.
FSX? And I was already in X-Plane?
I was on Flight Sim 9.
Oh, okay.
Because I had the Captain Sim 757 at the time.
That's right. So the fun in VATSIM is you can be cross-platform. So I had just bought this machine.
I think you can do that in Join FS too. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, Join FS might also? That would be
so.
great. But the weird thing is that for some reason in VATSIM there's this altitude variance at ground level. And so other aircraft tend to like hover 15, 20 feet above the tarmac, which A, is really trippy looking, and B, really kills the immersion because instead of looking very realistic, it looks very ridiculous. But it did let us fly together, and what Lee's talking about is there was a trip he was making. He was over Kamchatka, if I remember.
Yeah, Kamchatka Peninsula, where the volcano was not long ago.
Right, and I took off from somewhere else in the Zebo.
I think you were trying to catch up to me, right?
Right, and I was not heeding performance data. I had just like
firewalled it.
It might have been the default because for about 2 months from buying the simulator, I was running the default before I discovered the Zebo and saw Heaven's Light. So I was using the default, which is much more forgiving of being a knucklehead. And I had just about overtaken Lee when he hit a key command that opened a cabin door.
Yeah, I think it was like Shift E or Control E on Flight Sim 10 opened or Flight Sim 9 that opened the door, the main entry door.
And that was all she wrote then because it depressurized. And you had some kind of economy system there?
No, I had Flight Sim Passengers.
Right.
So I was running Flight Sim Passengers. Then I did that, so it was 100% fatality rate, totaled the airplane, which was like $150 million loss. Yeah, your pilot cred went down 10%. It killed my virtual pilot. So it was this whole mess,
Yeah.
and thank goodness Tim got me on X-Plane 11 not long after that. So then we started our round the world trip.
Yeah, we had
before we joined.
A fun thing that happened in the VAT sim of the round the world. So we started in Phoenix, and we flew down the
Opposite
the
directions.
western coast. Oh, that's right. Lee went up over Alaska.
I went west. Yeah.
And I flew down the coast, the western coast of South America. And Lee was over visiting, and we went to Antarctica.
Oh yeah, I did the short field takeoff in the 737.
Right, and there's a really great video of that exact airport on YouTube, Facebook, all kinds of aviation sites of a C-130. It's probably the Argentine Air Force or something, landing there. And because it's all snow and everything's covered in white, at the threshold there's like a little rise, a little hill or something, and he puts the main gear into that hill. Otherwise, he's basically on profile, but just a little short of where he needs to be, and it rips the gear off, and it's worth watching. What's that place called? Something with an S?
I don't know.
I used to
There's
have a
not too
map.
many down there.
I had a map. Yeah, it is really one of the only.
I think that one's like a
airports.
semi-permanent one because like McMurdo.
It is. Yeah, no,
like,
this is permanent.
McMurdo, I think, actually moves because it's a glacier,
And this-
so they have to regrade it.
Yeah, this is on a landmass, and it's very far north. It's the closest thing to South America. We'd flown to Ushuaia, or however you say that, down at the bottom of
We didn't go from Argentina.
Ushuaia is at the
There's-
bottom of
oh, that
Argentina
southern tip down
in
there.
Tierra del Fuego.
Okay.
And
Oh, that's
we
right.
flew over. And actually, I gave Lee that landing, and there's not a whole lot in navigational aids there. And I think it was like,
That was bad.
what was it? Overcast at like 100. It was
Yeah.
just garbage. Because
I think it was like a half-mile viz too, wasn't it? Like visibility was really low. Half-mile viz.
yeah, it was not
100-foot
a
overcast.
landing that should have been made, but he pulled it off. He did better than that C-130. Just saying.
I didn't crash it.
So, yeah, that was fun.
Sorry, Smart Cocker, which aircraft for around the world? So,
I was Zebo 737.
yeah, as we've mentioned,
But we were hopping. We weren't like single. We
Yeah.
weren't like looping the planet in a one Superman orbit. We were hopping. We were doing like 1 and 2 hour hops.
yeah, because of the life and the kids and everything, we actually planned out, I think, on a Google Sheets document.
I might have that somewhere.
It's still up there. It was basically a periphery of all the continents with the exception of Antarctica, I think. Maybe we had the one stop on there. But it was in...
I did it just to get all the continents. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we were tracing the world map basically.
So
around
I
that
made it from Phoenix, up the west coast through Alaska, over Russia, down through Japan, and I made it as far down as Australia. And I think there was one leg I had to do that was like 3.5 or 4 hours because of an oceanic crossing. But other than that, like that was the longest leg that we had roughly
Right,
planned out.
yeah, it was the world in like 1 hour hops, but it was all kinds of obscure airports, and we hadn't discovered Navigraph yet, so that was a pain.
Yeah, we didn't discover SimBrief either.
All right, I'll tell you what,
Can you share the doc?
I can look for it in the. I don't have on screen sharing, so you're only staring at. Sorry, people. If you're just popping in here at this end, you're just staring at this. But I'm gonna find it in Google Drive.
We're gonna have to like edit this video description and say flight is half
Flight
of the duration
plus 2 hours of BSing.
of BSing. Yeah. Well, you know what? We might be able to take the doc, get a clean copy of it, and then just upload it. Because when we were doing it, we were actually doing. Well, I had Flight Sim Passengers,
This
so.
is it. SAVC
Oh yeah, SAVC.
or SAWG. It's one of I don't know. Yeah, Gallego. Yeah, no.
No, that's the Galapagos, isn't it? Because you made a trip out there or something. But yeah, because I had Flight Sim Passengers, it tracked fuel burn and all that stuff. So I was actually keeping a log running of how much fuel I was burning. And since I had the westbound section, it was interesting to sort of compare the speeds. I think you made it up to the East Coast or even up to Greenland, right?
I had gone really far.
Did you make Europe?
Actually, I should be able to tell you soon because I have it somewhere.
Flight and chat.
World Sim Trip.
Oh, there it is. World Sim Trip.
It's coming. Yeah. I might have to do a little redacting of...
Yeah, we might have to reread it. We actually had like notes and mileages
goodness.
and flight times, and it was... Oh, we actually do have fuel, huh? Is that my legs? Yeah, that's mine.
Wow. Wow. This is a hoot. This is what we did prior to having the virtual airline. We were just messing around with this.
And we also threw a couple of interesting airfields in there too, like the one that's John Travolta's. It's completely unnecessary to fly there, but we put it. I think that's that
okay.
one, right? 17
All right.
FL.
I don't see anything compromising on here, so I'm gonna turn it on
gonna display
so
it?
you guys
Okay.
can see it.
If you care, tune in.
All right. So starting up here at the top, you're gonna notice we have a. I'll wait till we see it pop up on the stream. Do you want that off there?
I don't care
All right. So
at this point.
all right, so it's populating the stream now, but you're going to see we have two columns here, an outbound and a right. There's one column was the westbound route, the other column is the eastbound.
That was the leg out, leg in, right?
So,
And the color indicator was that leg was completed. Because you were doing a different color from bottom to top.
oh, okay, I get it now. All right, so the first leg, this was Lee's first leg, Phoenix to SFO, San Francisco up to Seattle. But I'm starting the list in reverse from Phoenix down to MMSD. That's something in Mexico. And you can see we just had notes. And so you can see me working my way up the list here.
And we have notes over here. Look at this.
Oh, yeah, here's Greenland. And I made it to Heathrow.
Okay. Look at this. You made your 6,000 foot runway notation.
Yeah, okay. So
we actually did a lot of planning for this.
Yeah, there's a part of me that is tempted to go back and add some of this to my logbook. None of this is in my logbook right now. And there be hours of flying here. Here, this is one of my favorites right here. Whatever these airports are. I was frequently flying on VATSIM because it's almost never towered down there. No one's ever controlling in South America. So I was flying it because VATSIM, lets you see it on the map, and then Lee could jump on and see me there. And so one day I was flying, and all of a sudden in VATSIM, I'm contacted because I flew into controlled airspace because apparently a bunch of Spanish speakers, so they could have been from South America or anywhere that speaks Spanish, I guess.
I think you're over Brazil, right?
Well, wherever this SB would be Brazil, right? SU is Uruguay?
I think so.
And at any rate, there were somebody was controlling, and there were about 5 aircraft running the same route because I could see them all in VATSIM. And I figured I just must have really ruined their day because here they are trying to have a leisurely, entirely Spanish VATSIM, and this one dumb American comes flying in, and they're like, "You got the whole world, you knucklehead. Why are you flying into here?" All right, I gotta jump out of the back.
Yep. Right, so Tim had to step out for something, so this might not be good. We might have to go ahead and wrap this up. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're here, we'll monitor the situation, but we have definitely appreciated that. Hopefully, maybe what we can do is we'll figure out how to clip or edit this document and share it with you guys. Maybe we can put it up on our Facebook pages or something like that. So if you're interested in mimicking the trip, it'll be there. To be quite honest, a lot of the hard work's done. Any of the annotations for shorter runways, I think there's a couple 6,000 footers. We did all that research, so all the runways should support anything around a 737 size to, I think I was doing a 737 or 757 is what I was flying while Tim was using the Zebo. So we tried to stop at airports that were of that runway length and elevation and all that. So a lot of that work was already done ahead of time. Yeah, I'll talk to him and we'll see if we can get this uploaded or put out on our Facebook. So if you need to check us out, again, we're what are we? Flight Brothers FT on Facebook. We have 2 pages, guys. Make sure to find. I think it's a business one. Make sure you go and smash the like on there. We try and put aviation and flight sim and any just like useful like stories. I think there was one of there's something about, I think like 2 lady pilots were going to be the first to do this thing. You know, they launched on this trip like last week. So, you know, we try and put that up there. So on Facebook, find us on there, and then go like that one, and then follow us. And you know, like I said, we'll post stuff on some of the stories. I actually go look through some work emails, but whether it's the aviation industry, whether it's flight sim, so we try and stay active on that one to keep you guys posted with. I think you even put the charts and stuff, right, for the FlyJ Sim one. You loaded that up on the business Facebook, right?
Yeah, actually, and I believe somewhere in the last week I put up the route for this one. The reason I didn't do charts is the FAA doesn't have a full set of charts for these 2 airports, and Navigraph has graciously given us permission to use in our videos their content, but we have never asked them about putting it in like a Facebook post, and so just out of respect to their creative content, we don't want to put their charts out. But the FAA stuff is, you know, open source, so we'll put those out when we have a flight that you can use that.
Oh, Creamers, to answer your links there, I think in our video descriptions, most of our recent video descriptions, we have our links, right? To the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We've been trying to do that. But what am I missing?
Oh, it's just pretty.
Oh.
I'm just looking for new things to look at.
So hit play and let it run. I think the links are all there. Can we share videos on your Facebook page or message you a link instead? I would probably... I'd probably say no to that. Not to be stomping anybody down, but probably look more at the X-Plane. Was it X-Plane and X-Plane Addict Facebook pages?
What's he want to do? Share his flight videos?
I think so.
Oh well, if you want anybody to watch it, don't put it on our page. We watch our page traffic. People don't look at our page. If you want people to see it, join the Facebook X-Plane.
X-Plane has, what, 20,000 people. X-Plane Addicts is like 6,000 people.
Yeah, like when we want people to watch, we put it out on, X-Plane, X-Plane space 11 forum. And
which is a closed group, and they accept you.
But they're very...
lenient?
Well,
and to be fair, too, we don't hammer. We try and stay involved. And we're not just trying to sell our own crap. So we try and limit our posts kind of like with our videos to we just don't want to drop every single video that we ever make out there and just pollute everything.
Although we do. But we only make one a week, so
it's usually one a week.
And our videos are not just, hey, I went flying around today, look. I mean, sometimes I do those, but I usually put in time compression so they only last 60 seconds. But,
on Instagram?
Yeah, on Instagram. You know what really chaps my hide? We did the American Airlines last flight of the Mad Dog.
Yeah.
And on Instagram, I had more people who had viewed the 1-minute version than I did people who had watched our YouTube one. And it was really just biting me that...
all the work put into it.
That's how it was going. So, on Facebook, another good one is X-Plane 11 Addict. That's another closed group. There's the Zebo community group if you're doing Zebos.
Yeah.
And, you can just kind of self-monitor what your content is. I don't think you need to be completely shy. People put some silly things out there from time to time. It's more just from time to time to be judicious with. You don't want to be somebody who's putting on goofy stuff every other day, but you know,
there are those people. That's just personal preference, right?
yeah, you'll play it by ear. You'll get the feel. Like, I would say, get on a group, watch it for about a week, see what people post, read the group rules.
Yeah,
Like, Reddit, we looked at Reddit, and they were like, don't share your videos here. It was like, well, Reddit, it was nice knowing you, because what's the point?
well, I think they have it on Saturdays. Like, you can post on Saturdays.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like a time frame where you can post on Saturday. I'm like, I work on Saturdays, so I'm
That's-
not gonna post.
Interesting. Did I put this here?
I don't know, but
There it is. There it is.
okay, yeah, there you go.
So we actually shared our live stream link about 35 minutes ago to the X-Plane group and the X-Plane Addict group, and I was having trouble finding the Bush Pilots group because I don't know how to navigate this very well.
Just do the search. I think you just do it under search. Search for Bush.
There we go. That's one way to put it.
Yeah, there we are. See, that one has 513. So, I mean, if you're trying to, I don't know what your goal is there, Smart Cocker. If you're just trying to share with the community, I'd say definitely X-Plane Addict. If you're trying to, like, promote maybe what you're doing, kind of like how we're doing it. Because functionally, we would like this to be a business, and like Tim said earlier, we do try and treat it like a second job. We try and carve out time every day to review our Facebook or review comments, and then, you know, there's time allotted on our days off from our normal jobs where we try to put effort into either producing videos, editing videos, coming up with ideas.
Pretty much, look at it like this. We have focused all of our free time. We took a hobby that we both liked, and we started channeling that into the channel. So rather than just flying for fun, okay, well, what can I fly today that's for a video? Rather than just reading aviation news for fun, what can I read today that's informative for a video? And so that's really what you're benefiting from, and we've put a lot of our disposable income into the systems and everything. And so hopefully here with the 1,000 subscriber mark, hopefully we can get a little bit of monetized. And our goal really isn't, you know, I don't suspect either one of us is going to be
We're not going to retire and
quitting
drive
our
exotic cars.
day
next year.
job. No, you're not going to see us reviewing Lamborghinis. But, you know, if we can find a way that supports the channel that would let us
Cover operating expenses.
grow it to
really.
what we want it to be, because I mean, there's been a number of times like we've wanted to improve the quality of the stream now that we've tried doing it, but you know, everything costs money, and so so we can get the channel monetized. Our goal is really not to profit from it, but to just dump it back in to increase the quality, buy more aircraft, buy more add-ons, increase the internet speed. We want to get some cameras. We actually, what we're really dying to do is take you boys out flying for real, and our 0.02% of female viewers too. So
yeah, if we could
that's the
get
end
more,
game.
if we could get more female. Actually, I think I shared a female pilot thing. It was like the statistics of like 0.8% of all pilots in the state. It was on our Facebook page, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, I was talking about how statistically low female pilots are, and with the pilot shortage. But yeah, you know, like Tim was saying, we've done some research around here at a flight school through, I think it was our Twitter, and there's actually a flight from, you know, since we're here in Phoenix, it actually flies up to Sedona. It's what, a 1 hour trip each way, right?
Sort of a discovery. It's kind of an overdone discovery flight.
Right, but it would involve flying into Sedona, which is KSEZ. If you guys are interested in that, it's very much like an aircraft carrier on a rock. So
and it's had some accidents before as a result.
Right, because of the terrain. But if we could ever figure out how to get enough cash together, scrounged up, and then, you know, get a flight school or whoever runs that experience, you know, put some cameras out and share that with you guys, we would love to do that.
Well, and kind of like we're doing here today. I mean, this in some ways is a little sample of what we're dreaming. That you know, we watched Mr. Aviation 101 and Angle of Attack go and do this flight for real, and it was inspiring. It was beautiful. Like, wow, we want to see that. We want to do that. and we want to replicate it in the sim so you can experience it too. And so I think that's what I think would be cool. Do a little bit of crossover. Let's do some real flying, and then let's go sim it, or vice versa. Sim it and then go try it.
Do they have Draco for XP11?
Oh well, Draco, that is no more.
Yeah, he said, all right. What am I missing? What's Draco?
Draco is a STOL aircraft, and up at the Reno Air Races this week, he crashed in on takeoff. And he's fine, fortunately, but the plane's a write-off. And you can go see the video. He does a little debrief. This is so rare. I'm enjoying this. There's something I knew that Lee didn't. So rare.
I don't know about that. Beautiful plane, one of a kind.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe it was just a custom. Yeah, complete
So
custom.
what was it? An E-stole?
Short takeoff.
Yeah, but an electric one? Is that right?
No, STOL.
Oh, S-stole. Okay, I got you.
An electric short takeoff. Now that would be interesting.
Yeah, it's called a
Actu-
helicopter, right?
Yeah.
An
Actually,
E-helicopter.
that probably wouldn't be that tall of an order because electric has such a good performance at the
Yeah.
low end. But
Great torque. Be the ideal powertrain.
you're not going to get a whole lot of flight endurance out of it. But
Right.
but performance in the short term, yeah, electric is.
No, Creamers is back. Hey, I'm actually impressed that we've been just BSing and there's still 6 people that are here listening. So kudos to all of you and thanks for that.
Glad you have nothing better to do than keep us company. Thank
Yeah,
you,
no
thank you.
kidding. I'm not sure what you guys are doing, but you could probably be far more productive. But we appreciate the interaction.
We had talked about maybe just firing this thing back up and taking it down to Seward, which is further down the mountains. But how would I put it? If we take the plane out, not really having fully planned it, and continue to chat with you thoroughly, then the odds of us doing something incredibly foolish with the aircraft go up. So with these streams, they may just look like we're just jumping in and going, but we actually do plan these and trial run them a couple times through the weeks.
Fire it back up and bring the sun up.
Yeah, bringing the sun back up is not too difficult. We can tweak the sun at whim. We're in replay mode right now, so I actually can't change the sun. But
And on top of that, thank goodness the wives aren't actually watching the live stream, otherwise we'd probably be in trouble right now. Because they'd say, they'd realize that we're just sitting around here BSing about airplanes. God bless them, though.
yeah,
They're making this happen. They're as much of a part of the production of these videos as we are, because they really do help us with taking care of the kids while we're doing it.
would that
and
make them the Flight Sisters?
the Flight Sisters, possibly. You need to start a channel with that. Probably do better.
Flight Sisters.
But no, I mean, seriously, right? Because there's times when
Oh, absolutely.
I know mine keeps the kids away, so I can work on editing when I'm doing voiceover recordings and all that.
Yes, it is no joke. If you don't want crying babies, we definitely need their help to make this happen. And
well, and they tolerate our harebrained ideas. When I say I need 250 stickers, I order them and then I go, I don't know how to sell them. Because right now, if any of you guys are listening, I think we're down to 240 stickers because I gave some away to a couple guys at work.
if you want a beautiful FBFT logo, the one you see on all of our videos up in the corner, we have that on the black sticker. It looks great on a computer case.
How big is this? I forget. I had them made without even thinking about it. Was that about 9 inches? I guess it's about 47.
From jokes.
Yeah, sorry.
Right now, I'm holding them back.
Anyway, yes, we do have these logo stickers, and we've got them. We just don't know how we're going to sell them. So we're working that.
Yeah, we got a few ideas for just little products we might put out there. Not because we're interested in hawking a whole bunch of Flight Brothers junk, but because if you would like to support the channel, we'd love to give you some little bit of swag to signify your support, and then hopefully at the Flight Sim Expo,
Hopefully next year we can make it.
we'll see you guys bouncing around in some Flight Sim swag. Cause I got my Flight Brothers shirt. Did you lose yours?
What, my Flight Brothers shirt?
What happened to yours?
No, my wife took it.
My wife stole it.
Yeah, you're talking about the color one, right?
Right.
Like the actual logo tee?
Flight Sister stole it.
Yeah, so the shirt came in and she's like, I want that. I'm like, right?
You know, the one we got for my son fits my wife, so that solved that problem. So I still have mine. This is a beautiful sunset. You know, if we hadn't been stuck inside flying the aircraft, the view outside
we would have enjoyed this.
Was incredible.
No, hashtag replay mode. Hey, yeah, Smart Cocker. No, we are not both private pilots. I will.
No, certainly.
No, we hope to get there one day. We both have some flying in our past. I don't want to repeat it for those who have actually stayed with us for a while, but click rewind on the stream at some point. Good luck finding it in the last hour and a half of just conversation.
Yeah, there's a little bit of real flying time under our belts, but neither one of us has any rating.
We're not licensed.
Lee has more formal training. I have no formal training. That's probably obvious as you watch these things.
Can you believe we've been on for 3 hours and 40 minutes? And I think
I'm almost embarrassed now that you tell me that.
I think Creamers has been on here for a majority of that, to be honest, too.
All right, well, our replay is going to be landing in a few minutes.
Yeah, our replay. We need to make a hard shutdown time on this.
All right.
5 minutes. So 3 hours and 10 minute stream, we're shutting it down.
Right. Clock is running, gentlemen.
Yeah, clock's running.
Minutes, and then
3 hours and 5:17 is what we're showing right now. We're going to shut it down at 3:10.
Return to the real world. Again, make sure you comment, subscribe, let us know what you want to see next time we stream.
Hey, Smart Cocker, I don't have pilot time. Make sure you take care of your tech ops guys, all right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. People in the industry.
That's it. Like it. Pays it at Tracon, so we probably... Where else were you? Were you at another center prior to that, I'm sure, after OKC? Don't spill coffee on the keyboards. From what I understand, the trackballs get a little dirty. Love it.
It'd be interesting to know the percentage of aviation
related
auxiliary people, not direct pilot folks. Oh, look at this! Look at that!
Wow, you went straight to Miami. Okay.
I just would be curious how many are also sim pilots.
Well, I know at work several peers on varying jobs do own planes. I don't know if any of them sim though, but I did ask one of the guys. I said, "Hey, in the Baron, when you start it, what happens when this light comes on?" He goes, "Oh, that shouldn't come on." I said, "Okay, how do I fix it?" And then I went home and tried it in the rep, and it fixed it. I forget what it was, but
oh, nice. I mean, aviation is just so expensive that to really be able to fly a lot, you almost have to be able to make a career out of it. But
yeah,
I mean, that's a lot of what. I'll be honest. My wife allowed me to buy this PC because it kept me from going to take flying lessons. That was the rationale in my mind and hers as well. It's a lot cheaper, it's a fraction of the cost, and it'll keep me busy. And it has kept me extremely busy. But the thing is, I think rather than scratching the itch, it's if anything inflamed it. Like, now, we're really going to have to go and do this for real soon.
Teddy, yeah, we understand, man. It's you either have it or you don't. And you guys got 110 controllers? Is that Tracon and Tower combined? If you don't mind sharing, of course.
This looks so much better.
Well, yeah, I mean, it actually kind of looks like the video. Oh, and how many people do we have here? Still got 6. Yeah, so if you guys are just tuning in, this is a replay of the previous flight. How many times have we said if you're just tuning in and we haven't been actually flying?
If you're just tuning in.
So anyway, this was a recreation.
This is only 10% flying in this video.
This is a recreation of a recreation at this point. Man, that's pretty fat. From what I think Sky Harbor is sitting around 60. I know there was a guy who was supposed to head to San Diego, and they nixed him because of Manning, so he's staying. Yeah, I think all you guys are, right? Talking about them being understaffed, ATC.
There's certainly plenty of recruitment ads out all the time.
Yeah.
Well, we are approaching, what do we got, about a minute or two left here before?
Yeah, we're at 309. 309.
So I'm going to accelerate time so we can see this thing land.
All right. So are we not going to go off this? We're going to go when this thing lands?
I'd say, well, I think we can let it land.
Are we going to do more bonus minutes?
Well, because it just seems weird to me to chop it off with an aircraft mid-flight.
You know, no one who follows us on the channel, they're going to open it and see a 3 and a whatever hour live stream and go, I'm not going to post that.
They're gonna think
it's about like most of our videos.
They're gonna think we flew from like Alaska to Russia. 3 hours in the Cessna.
Yeah, I bet Smart Cocker, especially with the hurricanes and everything lately, man. I saw a video. Who was it? Oh, the Flying Doodles guy. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Flying Doodles guy. I think they flew out of somewhere around Miami. They were taking some hurricane supplies out to the Bahamas. It was a pretty cool video. I think it only went up like 4 days ago.
I did see that clip, but
yeah,
he's not what I remember about that channel. Oh, flyby mode in fast replay.
That's like
insane.
That's F-16 approach mode right there.
Permission to buzz the tower?
This thing's... We're going to have like a stream crash right now. So I like to see real simulated flight. Yeah, Bonzo, we did have real simulated flight. It was up at the front of the live stream there. So we already did our flight planning. It's all in there. So
right, we're going to be shutting it down here literally when this thing touches down. So you could just rewind back.
Yep.
There's about half an hour of planning and talking and checklisting, and then it's all flying.
Yeah, then it's about 50 or so minutes for the actual flight, and then we've actually had a pretty engaged audience, so we've just kind of stuck around here.
Yeah, we've just been chatting. Next time we will plan something with more cruise time so we can chat.
Is this a vodcast?
Yeah, I don't...
What's the definition of a podcast? Is that what we're doing right now?
It's an aviation...
Geek Fest?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know what's going on here.
What do we got? Huge amount of VFR. Yeah.
Oh, it's all VFR today.
No, he's talking about for the Bahamas traffic.
Oh, okay.
Brought 50 helicopters to HST Air Reserve Base, Grand Bahama. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad those guys are getting in and out of there, and thanks to what you're doing every day, you and your counterparts there at the Tracons Towers and all that area, man, because I'd imagine it's some really busy airspace right now, and you guys working all that traffic to get that help out to the Bahamas, and not only that, just every day, man, because there's a lot of people that don't understand what goes on in the industry, even from the guys that throw the bags on the planes to you guys making sure stuff flows, and dealing with all that. So it's appreciated, and of course you guys are well aware of the significance of what you do.
It's a replay of the go around in ultra high speed mode.
It almost looks like an RC airplane.
Well, everybody, we're closing in on the end.
Hashtag AvGeek Podcast.
Who knows? That might be what these turn into as time goes on.
Yeah, whatever. This has been a great audience. Like, this is the most interactive one so far.
Yeah. Well, in 2 weeks, gentlemen, rejoin us. We're gonna spend the next 2 weeks making a new video. It'll come out next Thursday, and then we'll be reading some flying magazine. We'll have some new topics to discuss. And next time we'll be in the ERJ, I think. doing
That
some
sounds
kind of regional. Maybe we'll plan a double hop,
We could, or
double turn.
we'll be on the back of a King Air video, so maybe we can throw a King Air in there too at some point for one of the upcoming streams.
Maybe kick that out a second one, just so that just so we're not all GA.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
All right. Well, this gentleman looks like the end. The aircraft is coming into land in its replay mode.
Again. Hasn't it landed twice? So are you going to prime up the music? You going to prime up the music?
All right, so we've been discussing doing a little closeout, so I'm going to put us on mute, and we're gonna send you out with the traditional Flight Brothers closing.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Take it easy. Oh, and plan the flight.
Fly the plan.